Okay, welcome to this week's Street Talk, and I only got like 5 stories this week, and one of those was not very much. So we're going to be starting off with the punch to death storyline to find out just how Stephen got away after sadly ending the life of poor Teddy with a piece of office equipment. And then we've got a return of the Maxtremism storyline because I can't be bothered to think of another storyline title for that one. That's going to keep on going. Next up, look who's stalking, which Gemma quite appreciated earlier. She's smirking everybody. That's the Daisy storyline. I know it was mostly about a mum more than the stalking, but I'm sticking with that one. And then this is going to be a Scylla Chinchilla Killer.
Yeah.
And if you were to listen to us a week ago, before the character of Scylla the Chinchilla had even appeared, that could be, you'd
Shocking
be thinking all sorts. But this was
told you to brace yourselves. I mean, it's been a very hard week, hasn't it, for everybody?
They're going for a murderer week.
Murder.
We had Teddy at the end of last week. We had Scylla at the end of this week. The chinchilla, not the character.
And Alya nearly...
Alya nearly came a cropper. So did Darian with his bad hands. I mean, blimey.
Oh, no.
Dangerous streets, dangerous streets. We called the Gemma storyline, what do we call it? Geminder last week. I'm just want to call it Gemma and Michael now as a tribute to us because they're the 2 main characters in it. But there was also a bit of Chesburger in there as well, wasn't there? Because newfound character lifelong dream alert. Chesney's got ambition and it's not selling dog collars on the market. So in the spirit of me not saying very much because of my sore throat this week, Gemma is going to take the lead and remind us what happened in the Punch to Death storyline. Over to you.
Well, this was, like I told you, this was going to happen. This was what was it called? Anticlimax.
Yes, it was.
I told you it was going to be an anticlimax, and it was
a mega anticlimax.
Because we left Stephen at the end of last week with a bit of a dilemma. As he realised that his mum had driven his newly acquired corpse up to the Peak District.
Yeah.
And he didn't know what he was going to do about that because old ladies get really freaked out when they find a dead body in the...
Yeah, see, I was hoping for, a bit of location filming in the Peak District. Big old Audrey storyline. You never know, is Bev going to make a return? We got none of that. I was like... I called on the Street Talk short story episode for this episode. I gave it a bobbins, but I think a lot of the bobbins does come from my raised expectations that it was going to go a different way than this did.
I thought the bobbins was just the roof box bobbing up and down in the canal.
No. I was really hoping and expecting more.
The smart thing, Stephen here, was not following her up to the Peak District, because if he had disposed of Teddy up there, it would have been easier to link him to the fact that the body was found near his mum's friend's house.
Yes.
Because he's dumped him in the canal near Weatherfield, it could have been anybody that Teddy knew.
That is very, very true.
But I bet he wasn't thinking of that, was he?
I don't think he was thinking at all, really. I mean, he's got a perfectly good, he's starting his own graveyard, isn't he? Over at wherever Leo is.
I can't remember which serial killer it was. I think it might have been Ed Gein, but I can't remember. He said, the only thing I'm guilty of is having an unlicensed graveyard in my home. Which,
I suppose,
it's difficult to defend, isn't it?
If you're going to get caught, if one of the bodies is going to be found, maybe it's better that they don't find the other bodies at the same time, so scatter them around a bit. You might just be charged with one murder rather than multiple, I suppose.
Yeah. This was Serial Killer Tips with Michael and Gemma. Tune in next week. We'll be telling you how to get away with fraud.
Well, if Peanut the dog sets his sights on any other family pets, then we'll have to make sure that they're buried elsewhere as well.
Yeah.
Red Wreck maybe in one of Sally's hanging baskets next time.
I think it's called Red Wreck because it's red with blood.
Oh yeah. No, I think it actually is. I think it is.
What, because of the Civil War battles?
Yeah, I think so. I can't remember whether that was uncovered.
How amazing.
I don't know whether that was uncovered as part of the Emily Up the Tree storyline when they were protecting it, or whether it was the Civil War reenactment with Fred Elliott and Roy back when they had the golden anniversary Jubilee, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They did that, and I'm pretty sure that was the reason why. Yeah, nice. I mean, when they decided that, I don't know.
And I don't know if it's obvious to people that
might not be true fact,
from the
like
UK.
Bider's Age.
But REC stands for recreation ground.
Yes.
Which might not, I've just realised, be obvious to people.
It took me a very long time. We're back when in my village when I was growing up. We'll talk about what happened in the story soon, everybody, I promise. We got a park.
Yes.
In my village, my
Yes.
growing up village, and my dad always used to call it the wreck, and I didn't understand why. And it was like years, literally years and years and years.
Did you think there was a wrecked ship there?
Well, I didn't know. I thought, why are you calling it a wreck? What's a wreck? It's not that bad a state, you know.
Yeah.
It took me,
How funny.
10 years probably to know that that's what it was.
Our local playing field was called the Veracity, which doesn't make any sense.
That sounds very posh for the type of area that you grew up in,
it was
Gemma.
not a posh area. You're going down the Veracity after school? Yeah, anyway. Right, so I haven't even started, actually.
Anyway, that's everything that happened in that story. No. Right, go on. Synopsise.
On Monday, Nick finds Stephen in the cafe who is leaving a message for Audrey saying, when are you coming back? I need to borrow the car. Don't look in the roof box. And Nick says, oh yeah, she's heading back now, but she's had a flat tyre on the car. So he goes back to the scene of the crime, which is the factory, and Audrey comes in to see him and gives him the keys and says, you know what, that bloody roof box has caused the tyre to go flat. It's because of all the weight in the roof box. And he says, oh, I'm sorry, Mum, it's all the sewing machines. Why is he maintaining this weird lie that there were sewing machines
So
there?
you're thinking he should fess up that it was actually a body? I mean, eventually Carla's going to find out, and she's going to go, what sewing machines are these then,
exactly.
Stephen? Surely that's got to come out.
That's dumb.
What?
I mean, Michael, can I just point out this guy's homeless? Could it not be his things?
Yeah, very good point. Also, the thing I didn't get was, why was this roof rack? Why would that cause a tyre to blow out? Because isn't that just the same as putting a passenger or just dead body and like the passenger seat or the back seat of the car and the thing?
I don't think that she was just moaning and blaming him for something that wasn't actually his fault.
Oh, maybe.
So I think she's got to watch her back now.
Well, I think a few people have got targets on their backs actually now. Watch it, Carla.
So Stephen heads outside and he is intercepted by Sarah, who's wittering on about something. And she's like, was the CCTV on yesterday? Because I was worried that Michael and I are going to be on it because we were in the factory stealing labels. And he's like, oh my God, CCTV? What do you mean? And she says, look, Uncle Stephen, delete it all because I don't want to get in trouble. And she gives him instructions. How bloody convenient. This makes me wonder, when all this comes out in the wash, is he even going to get pinned for Teddy's murder, or is it just going to... Are we just going to forget that it happened? Because I'm sure a few people in Corrie have got away with murdering somebody insignificant because it just never came up.
I think the whole stuff with Sarah and Michael and Carla not wanting her to be there, I thought that was a fairly weak reason that things were coming out and people were being suspicious. Fine. And like, does anybody really care about Sarah and Michael's business? If I was Carla, I'd say, come into my factory, you've got no idea what you're doing. I mean...
No, I wouldn't want them to come in and steal my things.
It just feels like it's, No,
I think it's fine.
Mega insignificant. All right, carry on.
Right, so he heads inside, he views the footage, he's like, oh God, he can see himself murdering Teddy. He deletes it, and Carla comes in.
Such a terrible performance, let's get rid of
it. No,
that.
and he's acting very shifty, and he's like, oh, I'm on a coffee break, and she says, I know what you're doing, you're getting rid of the evidence. ... advert break.
This was one thing that I could not stand on Monday's episode, and I know why you have to do it, and I know it's for the advert breaks and everything, but it felt like every flipping advert break, or even at the end of every scene, someone seemed to come in and tell Stephen, I know what you're doing, or... You know,
yes.
And he's like, oh, what, you know that there's a body in my... Of course, nobody's going to know there's a body in your roof box there. They wouldn't come in kind of with a smile on their face or whatever. Also, wouldn't do it on a Monday halfway through the episode. No, they just kept on using... I mean, it was similar with Jenny last week, I think on Friday, wasn't it? When she was like, I know why you're being suspicious. It's because of the sewing machines. Did you say something about, I know what you've got in that roof box? Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it was... See, but the thing is, Michael, this is all playing into the campiness of this storyline. And I saw quite a lot of people on Twitter, because I like to talk to myself by reading all the horrible comments that people write about Coronation Street. And it's really surprising to me how many people are saying, I've just given up trying to moan about the Stephen storyline. I'm just embracing it as stupid and camp, and I'm quite enjoying it now. I'm thinking... I've been doing this the whole time. What part of this storyline did you think was serious?
Yeah, we got some similar feedback later on this episode along those lines. I was
really surprised because I've always found. I mean, he is there's a mixture of sinister and camp, but I've never taken this particularly seriously. Hence the fact we've always done the silly accents for him.
I know we did with that, and I know that, make fun of all that, like with the factory workers making fun of his voice and everything like that. But I'm not sure that they've been consistent with the tone of it, because honestly, when Leo copped it, that was proper sinister.
Yeah, it was.
I don't think there was an ounce of campness in that intentional. It was.
But it spiralled out of control.
It really has. That scene where he's dragging the body, that was a brilliant scene. I loved it. And the shots of Leo with blood coming out his ear and everything, and the tension the next day when the police are coming round, that was taken seriously. But it just seems to have devolved into farce. And I'm perfectly happy if that's where they want to go with it. But I just wish that, Corrie has decided it's this or that, because they keep flip-flopping a little bit.
I understand what you're saying, and I definitely agree that I've always thought that the initial murder was definitely very dark. But Corrie's done this before with other people. There were parts of the John Stape storyline that are actually pretty sinister, but also parts that were really funny.
That's true. That's true.
Unintentionally.
I think that with the last serial killing storyline on Coronation Street probably still being fairly fresh in people's minds with Pat Phelan, that was dark all the way, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I don't want another Pat Phelan one necessarily. I don't want a repeat or an echo of something they've already done. I want something different. So I'm really loving this. I'm
undecided still.
Really?
Yeah, I sometimes I like it, and it depends what mood I'm in, really. Like with Mondays, I said that was a Bobbins episode on the shorts, and I stand by that. I was just watching.
Annoyed that
I was annoyed that my idea and my hopes didn't come through, but it was kind of are people going to find out about it? Oh, are they going to look in the roof box? Oh no, they're not. And the campness got on my nerves, but I think maybe the campness just got on my nerves because, like you said, I was hoping for something different. So I don't know. Anyway, let's carry on. What happened next? Because this is a mega advert break here.
So it turns out that she's just referring to the fact that she's found the label from Michael and Sarah's line, and she's like, "You let them in. You let them use the premises," and he's like, "No, I didn't." And she doesn't believe him, so she looks on the computer and she sees that the CCTV's gone for that day, and he's like, "Oh, how would that have happened?" She doesn't believe him, and she's like, "Watch it, you. I've got your card marked." He goes outside. He gets in the car, but it won't start. It's like Audrey's just broken it. What has this woman done?
So she brought it back to Weatherfield, or she got Kevin to come and tow it back. So I guess they hadn't gone that far. But there's no petrol in it, and this was another. She is, but this was another thing where I was just going, "Oh, come on."
Oh, Michael.
Really? I know, I'm just telling you, I'm not saying that's right, I'm just saying that's the mood I was in. I was like, really? There's no petrol, and it just so happens to have run out just while he's there, and now Craig comes along. It's
he's trying to start the car and he's freaking out. Craig comes along, knocks on the window, and it's like, oh great, there's the police officer. Don't worry, he's incompetent, he'll never even realise there's been a murder, even if he finds a body. Michael and David come over, and they're like, "What's up, everyone?" And Craig says, "Let's all push the car." And then David says, "I want to use the car because I want
wood chippings.
I want wood chippings from the Fresh Go sale." Was he trying to fill up the sinkhole or something?
I don't know. I don't know that they ever made it clear why he wants the wood chippings.
I think he put them in the garden bed.
Is that right? Is that okay?
We've got wood chippings.
Oh, we do actually, don't we?
Yeah, we're probably going to have to replace those
I don't particularly see David as being very green-fingered, but...
I think if you're not green-fingered, you buy wood chippings, so you don't have to weed things.
Oh, good point.
So, they start pushing the car, and Stephen's freaking out. And then David's like, "Oh, no wonder it doesn't work. It doesn't have any petrol. Give me the keys. I'll go get some."
Yeah, because he happens to have a petrol canister in his house, and he's going to go and get some petrol. I was just watching. Okay, oh, come on.
Right.
Come on. And Stephen's like, "I need to go to a meeting."
And he's like, "Right, take my car then, Stephen, Uncle Stephen, and you go to the meeting with my car, and I'll go to Fresco's and get the wood chippings and petrol." And he goes to open the roof box, and Steve's like, "No, don't look in there." I can't remember how he manages to convince him not to go in there. But it all gets very confusing, and eventually ends up with David's got Audrey's car, Stephen's got David's car, and Stephen's having a cry. It's all too much.
I think, there might have been some viewers that were echoing Stephen's reaction to what's going on in that episode.
How can you not love this? This is brilliant.
It's more fun to kind of reflect back on it now the time has passed.
Later on, isn't the definition of humour chaos remembered in tranquility?
I don't know. I'll have to check
Well,
the
I think
dictionary.
it is, yeah. Later on, Craig sees Stephen in Victoria Gardens and he's like, there was no meeting. Why tell everyone? Why did he say that? Billy comes in and he's like, oh, what's Teddy up to? And Stephen's like, oh, he's probably in Canada. Sorry, it just really makes me laugh. Story. Why would Billy give a crap? Why would Billy care at all where Teddy is? I wouldn't even know what his name was if I was Billy. Billy's like, oh, you're looking very troubled, my child. And Stephen's like, do you believe in hell? And he's like, look, if you've done something wrong, I'm a very good listener. I'll sit down and why don't you tell me what's up?
If he's a good listener, did he send us a review on iTunes, Billy?
Yeah.
That's the way that you prove it. 5 stars, please.
I don't think Billy would appreciate our podcast. I don't think he's got a very good sense of humour. Stephen doesn't want to open up, funnily enough. Kana finds Sarah and Michael in the cafe and she's like, I know you've been using the factory without permission and that you gave Stephen the CCTV password to delete it. You're taking advantage, you're tacky and you're shameful and I'm going to get you at some point. It's not over. Jenny finds Stephen next and she invites him for a coffee, so he goes into the Rover's back room and Sarah's trying to call him and she leaves him a message going, Carla's on to us. She sees Jenny coming out of the shop and she tells her about Stephen being in the pub and getting drunk and the fact that Jenny thinks that Stephen needs to sober up a little bit and Sarah offers to come back to talk to him. And then Jenny gets held up when they come back into the Rovers at the bar by Christina, who is Daisy's mum.
More on that
Sarah
later.
goes off into the back by herself, and then there's another stupid cliffhanger where I think it's Sarah says, I think you better sit down.
I can't remember. I've written the quote here. I think you better sit down. I think it's him. I think he was in quite a confessional mood.
Yeah, I think
it was all. He kind of knew because at this point, Stephen's got the car. There's a body in the roof box. They'd kept on banging on in that previous scene about, oh, what's in the roof box? Are these the key to the roof box? Gosh, this roof box is really heavy. So Stephen thinks, well, it's just a matter of time until the Rozzers come and knocking. So I think he maybe wanted to confess to Billy before he had the chance. I'm wondering whether Billy's going to play a part of this story now, and we had a little introduction to it here.
What? But same way that Imran played a part in Emma and
maybe not
Faye.
like that. No, I wonder whether Stephen is going to confess to Billy and he's going to have to keep this secret. That could be quite exciting. Maybe.
I don't think that priests vicars have to keep it secret.
I'm trying to think because that would be quite similar. I can't remember what it was now, but when Sarah and Kylie had killed Callum and Sarah was going a bit nutty because of it, didn't she?
You can't say nutty.
Because when she was having mental health problems because of it, didn't she?
She was too sectioned.
Doesn't she confide in Billy? I don't think she told him the whole truth or anything, but I've got a feeling. I don't know.
Well,
anyway, that's maybe what could happen in my brain.
Sarah's wittering on about the factory, using it without permission, and she shouldn't have asked him to help her. And he says David has found something in the car, and Sarah says it's just the manual.
I can't remember what happened.
You've written this very strangely.
Sorry.
Anyway, it turns out that the shop ran out of wood chipping, so he never opened the roof box. Thank goodness for that. So Stephen now has finally got access to the car. Everyone's left him alone. Honestly, can you imagine how annoying it would be to have such a close-knit family when you're trying to do murders? I could murder loads of people and nobody would find out for years.
Yeah.
Don't really talk to anybody.
They need who'd be the best person to carry a murder at Coronation Street and nobody would find out about them? Who's the most isolated character?
It's probably Kirk, because he's hardly in it.
Maybe. Or Ronnie Bailey, maybe.
Yeah.
In fact, any of the Baileys, they could get up to whatever criminal acts they wanted and they never seem to talk to anyone that isn't part of their family and nobody would ever find out.
Dee Dee's talks to a lot of people.
Oh, she does, doesn't she? Yeah.
So, Stephen takes the car and he drives it. Where's the best place? In Weatherfield to dump a corpse.
Canal. There's no website for Weatherfield canal body dredgings, is there? That hasn't been part of a story just a few years ago when they dredged up Kel's body.
Now, without wishing to be indelicate, the best thing to do here would have been to sort of stave his face in and take all his teeth.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, because...
They would have done it on Happy Valley.
They would have done, yeah. They would have had, what's his face, going in there with a pair of pliers.
Tommy Lee Royce, yeah. Yeah.
Well, if Sarah Lancashire can do it, I'm sure Stephen can. So, he drives down to the canal and he puts some heavy things, maybe it's some leftover sewing machine, puts them
to keep up the ruse,
into the roof box and he pushes it into the water and it just starts floating.
This was the moment, I think, when it was like, okay, you do want us to find this funny, because so much that's happened before, I was like, is that intentionally funny or not? I'm not really sure.
But he's just there. He's on the side of the canal and he's just panicking because this thing's bobbing about. It might as well have a flag on it going, "Search me for a corpse." And this guy's walking his dog. And Stephen's like, oh my gosh, and he starts throwing rocks at this thing to try to make it sink. And luckily, he manages to tip it, and it starts to glug and bubble away and slowly lower in. This man, right, the ludicrous part of this was the idea that this man wouldn't have reacted to Stephen throwing rocks at a glugging box. And the fact that Stephen thought he was totally safe once the man was parallel to him and the box had disappeared under the water. Because up until that point, this dog guy was probably thinking, why is this scared businessman throwing rocks into the canal? Like, his life depends on it.
He did look pretty panicked as he walked past him. I think, like, is this guy going to jump in or something?
Well, yeah, I mean, what would you think if you were him?
He's not going to be getting this Weatherfield Good Samaritan Award this year, I tell you, dog walker. Sorry, brought you off the list.
I don't know whether this dog walker's ever going to appear again, but he's very unsuspicious, isn't he?
I think the dog walker was driving the car that pulled up next to Imran and Toya's crash.
Probably.
One and the same.
It's not my business. It's none of my business. He's like a southerner living in the north, because we mind our business down here. We don't.
Oh yeah, we don't.
Keep it because we never speak to each other. We don't smile to each other. We never talk to strangers.
Yeah.
So he must be the only southerner in the north of England. He's like, nope, these northerners and their strange ways. I'm not going to ask any questions.
I think if I was living in Weatherfield with their crime rate, I'd be keeping my head down as well.
I suppose he's thinking it could be me next.
Exactly.
On Wednesday, Stephen sees Elaine in the cafe and he says, I'm so sorry I've neglected you. I'll give you the payment I owe you. It should be in your account. And maybe we should go for dinner sometime. He's getting all cocky now. He thinks he's got away with it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Later on, he goes into the Rovers. And there we've got Christina there again. Daisy's mum.
Oh, yeah.
Flirting.
Sorry, I didn't want to put that storyline first because this was kind of a bit more important. Happened? Yes.
She's trying to talk. She's trying to chat him up, and she's not impressed. Well, hang on a minute. It comes out that Jenny's a husband stealer, and I don't know who tells who what, but he doesn't care about that. He wants to tell Jenny. He wants to give her the alibi for why she's never going to hear from Teddy again.
Yes.
So he tells her, actually, I've heard from Teddy and he's met up with Leo. They're both alive. And she's like, that's a strange turn of phrase. No, he doesn't say that. He says, they're both fine. They're in Canada. And Jenny's like, oh, that's brilliant. I'll give him a call. And he says, oh, well, no. I've got bad news for you. Leo hates you. And Teddy hates you too now. They want a fresh start. They never want to speak to you again, actually.
Jenny's going to get a bit of a complex of this.
And Jenny's trying not to cry here because... You know, she's got really close to Teddy and she was so worried about Leo, and now she thinks that both these men have like got together and chatted about her, chatting behind her back about how much of a slag she is, and now they both hate her.
I mean, Jenny's a little bit gullible here, isn't she? I mean, once somebody going over to Canada and then deciding they never want to talk to you again, and then somebody else coming into the story and saying, oh, that's weird that my son's gone to Canada and never wants to talk to you again. I'm going to go to Canada. And he gets there and he's like, I'm never going to talk to you again. If I was Jenny, I'd be like, I just want to confirm that for myself.
It is a bit sinister and weird. It's like that story of the family who had a potato. You don't know what I'm talking about.
No, sorry, I've got no idea.
Yes, potato.
The family with the potato, I know it well, yeah. Infamous potato family.
It's a really tragic story. It's a family who had a potato cellar, and the potatoes...
Is that somebody who sells potatoes, or somewhere where you put your potatoes?
Potato basement. So,
Is it better be a good story?
Can you listen?
Yes.
The potatoes were giving off this noxious fume. Shut up! It's that tragic. And one by one, they went down into the cellar to check to see what was. Well, one of them went down. The other one was like, "That's weird. Where have they gone?" Went down. Then the other one was like, "That's weird. Where have they gone?" Went down. And one by one, they went down this cellar and were overcome by fumes and died.
Oh no!
Because of
Killed by potato fumes.
because of the way that the gas rose to a certain level, and when they walked down the staircase, they were immediately engulfed in these fumes, and they couldn't breathe, and then they just collapsed, and there's just like, all of them downstairs. So that's how I imagine Canada, just one big corpse cellar as people walk in and die.
Well, I hope somebody in Coronation Street is listening and steals that idea.
Although
nobody has any cellars in Coronation Street, so they can't really use it. Snooker hall.
It's probably what happened.
Well, Jenny, I think she just needs to stop poking her nose in with this, because if she's
Just
not
leave it,
careful,
girl.
she's going to be sent to Canada as well.
Yeah. So Stephen's like, "Why don't we have a drink?" And she's like, no, I don't want to have a relationship with you at the moment. And I think he kind of brushes it off a little bit there. Later on, Carla's a raging bitch all week for no particular reason, and it really annoyed me.
She really, really is.
They've given her...
Menopause, Carla?
No, Michael, don't be horrible. She's just in a snitty mood, and she's... This also bothers me. She's turned on Stephen immediately after getting her nose put out of joint about Sarah and Michael. And fair enough, he shouldn't have done that behind her back. But I thought he was supposed to save the business, because at Christmas, when she was drunk in the pub trying to do her spreadsheets, and he came and saved her bacon by telling her that she had the wrong things in the fit. She thought he was the business genius to end all business geniuses, and she needed him on board to help her business. And now she's treating him like a scumbag skivvy.
Maybe she's just found the Excel help function and she's realised that she could do it herself.
She's like, I don't need you. There's a paperclip.
Yeah, the little paper clips appeared at the top corner of the screen saying, "It sounds like you're
I've
trying to..."
I've replaced you with a piece of stationery, Stephen. I don't need your help anymore. And
Sounds like you're trying to sell knickers. Do you want me to help you with that?
Anyway, she is ordering Stephen to do some packing with Kirk, and he's not happy about this. And then this guy comes in, Dick Havisham. He comes into the factory.
Can't be so puerile.
And why would you... I don't understand. I don't know if anyone's listening who is just called Dick voluntarily, but I don't understand why you would do that to yourself when you don't have to be called that, do you?
That is the best line in the Lego Batman movie, in my opinion. And I love the Lego Batman movie, and there aren't very many films that I watch again and again and again, because I can't follow films, I'm useless. But the bit where Richard Grayson is there, the little orphan is following Bruce Wayne, and he's like saying... "Oh yeah, my name's Dick Grayson, but all the other kids at the orphanage call me Dick," and Batman's like, "Kids could be so cruel." Love it. Sorry for any dicks listening, but I like this. Is that Havisham? I'm pretty sure that the Havisham's
order.
Yeah, the Havisham order's always late, so it was nice to finally put a name a face to the name. I want to know what's happened to Mr. Hanlon, though. He's probably been arrested for perving up the employees, hasn't he? It's been a few years since we've seen Mr. Hanlon.
Stephen rolled him into the canal.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
So,
Dick Havisham, yeah, he's an old ex-business associate and general rag trade trader.
He's not an ex-anything. He's a current.
Yeah, but I'm saying he used to work with Stephen.
Yes, I'm going to explain that if you be quiet.
Sorry.
Stephen's, they're old friends, yeah?
Business friends.
And he's my business friend. And Dick's like, "Oh, hi, Stephen, how's it going?" He's like, "Oh, really great, I'm just working here as a business consultant." And Carla comes on and goes, "You're not a business consultant, you're a junior management. He's not been here very long and he's got to do the packing. Come on, Dick, let's go into and do this business deal." I don't know where Carla gets off putting somebody down in front of their friend. If I was Dick Havisham, I would say, "This woman's a raging monster. Why is she being mean to my friend?"
I know, she's an utter cowbag this week. She's vile, Carla is.
I don't understand. It doesn't... This is the thing, right? Carla used to be rude and abrupt and abrasive for the service of the business. She didn't care who she stepped on as long as she got the business done. This is kind of self-destructive and doesn't achieve anything. It's not how Carla used to be.
No.
She's just being mean for no reason.
I do hope that there's a reason for this and they kind of address it. I mean, we saw before Christmas, was it, that Peter's kind of being quite neglectful in the relationship with him and Carla, and she's feeling a little bit little bit cast aside, and now he's got his little obsession with the trading and the bartering, which, by the way, what's going on with that? I want to know whether he's got rid of that. What is it he's got at the moment? Cheese grater, is it he's on?
Oh, I think so.
I think he's on the cheese grater. Come on, let's move. So it could be to do with that. I'd quite like to see, I don't know, some scenes with Carla and Peter just back at their flat, and Peter going, "What's up with you, girl? Why are you being a massive cowbag at the moment?" And just have a nice little character and opening up moments, because Ali King and Chris Gascoigne work so well together, and there's something going wrong with this character.
Yeah, Carla says of Stephen, he gets ideas above his station. Now, if I'm Mr. Havisham, I'll call him, I would think, I actually know Stephen and I think he's a pretty good businessman. And the fact that she can't recognise this and she's trying to put him down when he's obviously also seen it, like, older than her, is incredibly rude. And what'd she say about me behind my back? Yeah,
very true.
Anyway, Stephen's not impressed with this. Later on in the pub, Elaine sees Stephen there and says, "Oh, my house sale's gone through and I've got all the money. I'm loaded."
Yes, Elaine is minted now. She's got tons of cash. Stephen sent her the money earlier today. She's got the house money. It all worked perfectly, just like we know every house sale does.
Why don't you move out then?
Let's go. What?
Why don't you move out, Elaine?
She is. She's moved. She's living with Stephen. Oh, move out of Sally and Tim's. Very good point.
I wouldn't let some woman live in my house who had like £500,000 in the bank. She can go somewhere else. So on Thursday, Carla tells Stephen that she's firing him because officially he told Mr. Havisham that he was her business partner. What? That's not a fireable offence.
Well, it's that and the CCTV.
Well, why didn't she say it's because of you colluding with people behind my back?
Oh no, I think she maybe did say that as well. I've maybe just not written it down. I don't remember. But there's been various things that Stephen has done this week that she can't reconcile with, and now she's just going to have to sort out her own spreadsheets.
I know. She hasn't thought this through, and her top seller Jacob is gone.
I know.
So she's adrift now.
How's casting aside all her top work business friends.
Yeah. He's like, "I need to speak to you, honestly."
Honestly, Carla.
Honestly,
he says, "I need to speak honestly with you."
So he says, "Gabrielle ripped me off and I got big money worries and it's working in packing has bruised my ego." And I don't know what comes of that. And she's like, "I don't care." Anyway, I think she lets him stay.
Yeah, she does, because Beth wants some help with something or
well,
other.
No, they're talking and then Beth comes in and says, "Oh no, the Havisham one is behind again. Well, we haven't got enough people on the sewing machines for some reason." And he says, "I'll do it. I know how to sew." This is probably the first time anyone in management at that factory has ever known how to make something. I think Stephen should be in charge of the factories. Forget Carla. She doesn't even know how to darn a sock, probably.
No.
Anyway, so he all hands to the machines, and they're going, "Hey everyone, if we get this order out, I'll buy everyone around at the Rovers." And then they do, and then he buys everyone around. He's like proven himself to be a way better manager.
I know, and all the
leader.
Sean and Beth and that are still making fun of him, aren't they?
I know. In this scene, I don't know what the scene was for, but it really endeared him to me. It's like he's murdered 2 people now, but he's actually a really nice boss.
Well, the whole point of it was supposed to be that, "Hey Carla, look at me, I'm not a quitter. I can demean myself by sitting at the sewing machine. Go on, give me another chance.
I really need this job."
Yeah, because there are no other jobs going on the street.
Why does he need to stay in Weatherfield now? He doesn't, does he?
Just needs to keep an eye on the bodies. I don't know.
In the pub later, Stephen is impressed by Jenny's ability to know which drinks everybody wants before they order them. Whenever I hear about stuff like this, like when you go to a restaurant or whatever and you're like, "Oh, the usual please," it's like, it's supposed to sound cool and like comforting and stuff. It just sounds really deadly boring. I can't imagine going somewhere and just ordering the same thing every single time. It sounds boring.
Yeah.
So anyway.
I do like to alternate between J2O and lemonade.
Well, yeah, exactly. And when we go to a restaurant, you always have the burger, don't you?
Yes, I do sometimes.
But you don't have it in the same restaurant.
No, not the same burger.
No, it's different. So they're all having their drinks when Elaine comes in and Stephen's like, "Come over to the booth," and Jenny feels left out. And Carla says, "Oh, you know what? You're not sacked for now." ... That's the end. That's the end of the story.
So I think once I got over my initial disappointment of this not living up to my expectations and hopes and desires and dreams in the slightest on Monday. Oh my gosh, he's starting to come down with something as well.
I'm getting a runny nose.
Oh dear. I did quite like the end of the story. Carla being a bitch, I was just kind of glad to. It gave me some fuel to my fire and everything.
I can't put my finger on. Well, it's. I mean, what they're making tension between Stephen and Carla, but it seems to have come to a resolution.
It has for now, but I mean, when Carla did embarrass him basically in front of Mr. Havisham and everyone. It wasn't just him, you know. Probably there are other factory workers. Dirk was just lurking in the background. It's not on for her to have done that to him.
And he's dumb, not deaf.
Yeah. So I wonder whether that's the route they're going down now, because everyone's saying, well, who's Stephen gonna kill next? You know, the viewers are, not the characters.
I feel like fish in a barrel, don't you?
Yeah, and that would be a bit of a twist if Gabrielle and Elaine both walk out of this unscathed and Carla's the one that he's going after. I don't think Carla...
There is no way that Stephen Reed will kill Carla Connor.
Oh, but he might. And that's what I said. Like, if to be a proper good serial killer, you gotta kill a main character.
I know, but the thing... Okay, let me think about this. That would be a real departure from his previous MO, wouldn't it? Because he killed Leo by accident because they had an argument.
Yeah.
Then he killed Teddy because they were having an argument about him uncovering the fact he killed Leo.
Yeah.
Right? But just to kill someone because they're a bitch, that just seems rude.
She's had it coming for all these years. I don't know.
Well, listen, I don't know if anyone's new who's listening to this who's outraged at our casual slander of one of Coronation Street's most iconic female characters. I used to be a massive Carla fan, but she's gone off the boil, and I think that she's really been treated badly by the writers for the past couple of years, where they've just not really got what the point of Carla is. She after she had that PTSD from the roof collapsing and stuff, she had a mental breakdown, and then she kind of became a bit more like, oh, hands off, and I'm just going to be relaxed and not be a factory person anymore. And now she's back in the factory. She's just been horrible. And the thing is about it is that I didn't mind when it was Sarah, because I hate Sarah too. When it's Stephen, stop being mean to Stephen.
I didn't mind when it was Sarah, not because I hate Sarah, and I love Sarah Louise. I mean, she's a legacy character. I've got a special place in my heart for Sarah.
Well, yeah.
But she deserves everything that Carla was throwing at her, because she has no place in the management at that factory.
No, she doesn't know what she's doing.
I don't think I really hate Carla being a cow, because at least it's showing that she's got a little bit of oomph to her, and I'd rather that than just being a bit rubbish. But
I need to explain, it's not that she's a cow, it's that she's a cow for no reason.
No, I get that, but better to be a cow for no reason than just being a bit of a bland background character.
You'd rather she had any personality at all?
Yeah, I would.
I see that, but I just think that it's missed the point of Carla as a character.
It has. I'm not going to lie, but I mean, I you know, if she has a go at anybody, I'll kind of go, yeah, ha ha ha. But I know deep down that it's
I'm just baffled by it. Okay, right. How long do you think it's gonna be? This roof box is not gonna stay sunk, is it?
Well, clearly not. I mean, if you looked at it at the end of the episode, you could kind of see it there. I don't know how deep the Weatherfield canal is supposed to be, but as it went under the water, if it was still there, surely he doesn't think this is a permanent solution. But
it's not going to be like it's not going to be like Pat, where he had to go and move the bodies.
Well, no, yeah, when Pat dumped Luke and Andy in the reservoir, it was at the old Legacy Reach, wasn't it, the paper mill? And as far as he knew, that's never going to be found again. And then you're right, then he moved them, dumped them in cement. That's a good place to hide bodies. You don't think that that's ever going to come out again. But just in the canal, I just get the feeling that bodies get dredged out of the canal as of, you know, everyday kind of occurrence there in Weatherfield. Maybe Stephen doesn't know this yet, but
they must
unwise,
because it must get full of crap all the time, and they have to use it, don't they? Well, some of them are used for boats, not all of them.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them are probably just shopping trolley dumping grounds, but yeah, they do. They dredge them. That box is going to be found unless he moves it. He can't think, phew, I'm off the hook now.
Why would you honestly think that was a good place to put the bloody body? And the trouble is about this is, I said, it's probably a good idea that he didn't dump it in the Peak District, because if it was anywhere near Bev's house, then it would be linked to Audrey and then him. It's his roof box that he's buried him in.
Yeah.
The best thing to do would have been to taking him out of the roof box, and also everyone was all about this roof box 5 minutes ago. Everyone was all about this roof box, right? And now suddenly nobody cares about it. Nobody's mentioned it.
I don't think anybody asked on Friday, so where's your roof box then?
They're going to ask him where his roof box is. Regarding whether there's a serial number, I don't know, but you will be able to tell who it was manufactured by, and then you'd be able to tell who bought it, and then you'd be able to say, well, this lady bought it, and she's the mother of this guy. Yeah,
well, like the roof box itself, the storyline is not quite watertight.
Well, the thing is, particularly me, get bogged down in all these details, and Coronation Street does not care. It's not a true crime television show.
You're right. If they don't want it to be surfaced again, then it won't be. But, we all know he's going to get found out eventually, isn't it? It's just a matter of
how
when
many times
and how.
he kills before.
And
who's going to get.
The thing with these serial killers as well is usually when they get found out about one of them, they just kind of start singing like a canary, don't they? Like when Gail found out about Richard, she was like, within the course of that one episode, she knew that he'd got rid of Dougie, he'd got rid of Patricia, he'd got rid of Maxine. And then we've got that infamous lighthouse scene with Phelan when he's like 4 victims or 5 or however many it is. And he just proudly lists them all. So is there going to be a scene where Stephen says, yes, I killed Leo and I killed Teddy too and also Carla? And they just got to be found individually, and he goes, oh, yeah, that one's mine too, sorry.
No, I think he'll panic. That was a good accent. I think he'll panic because he's not got a cool head.
Stephen, panic, what?
He just doesn't know, he can't react to things that aren't unexpected. Like when he fell off his bike, all the lies he put together to explain that. I can't believe he's got as old as he is, and he's got no cool at all, has he?
And yet nobody seemed to notice or be suspicious.
Well, everyone keeps going, what's up, buddy? What's up with you? And he's like, oh my God, I want to tell you everything, but I can't. He's going to confess to somebody in a panic.
Well, this is why I think maybe Billy. I don't see the point in having Billy in it for that scene if there's not more to it. Billy's got his own issues and dramas and storylines. Maybe he's going to kill Billy. Kill Bill.
Who do you think he's going to kill? I don't think he's going to. I do think that we're supposed to worry that he wants to kill Carla. I think they're setting up
a
conflict between Carla and Stephen where...
It's will he kill Carla? Will he kill Jenny?
No.
But if it is just Gabriella Elaine and that's it, I'll just be a little bit disappointed.
Yeah, but that's your own fault for working it out.
I know. I build up these complicated pictures or outlandish theories about what would be exciting to happen, but it's got to have some grounding in reality, hasn't it, everybody?
Yeah.
Right, let's move on and do the Maxtremism storyline now. So this got quite good on Wednesday, didn't it?
I know.
It slowed down a little bit, but this really went up a gear. So Monday's Alya and Maria scenes were dull, and that was what kind of half contributed to the bobbins that I gave the episode. But they're just talking about the drop-in centre, and they're gonna have a little open day for it and everything, and they're basically gonna have a old do-goodery meeting there. And then we also have Blake. Now Blake's one of the bullies that was.
He pushed Max over and stole his crisps.
He did in the Fresco car park. We did. He's been harassing him and haranguing him on his way back from the Prue for months now, but. Now he thinks Max is great.
Yeah, because he's been making brilliant videos.
I didn't buy this. It was a switch. There was literally nothing. The last time we saw Blake, he thought Max was scum of the earth. Now he's seen a few videos that Max has made, inciting terrorism, as the police are calling it, and he thinks he's the best thing since sliced bread. Did you not think that was a little bit jarring, that character switch?
It depends on how primed he already was. He's obviously also come from a troubled background, similar to Max, and I think he probably realised that they had more in common than he realised.
It just felt like it was too fast for me.
Okay.
I didn't get it. It was convenient that it happened for the story, but no, especially how it ended up with him saying, "Oh, Max, you're my inspiration." Anyway, so he's impressed by these videos that Max has made, and then Gary comes into the cafe and calls them a bunch of idiots, so they disappear off. And Gary has still been an old stick in the mud about how this drop-in centre is going, and he's worried that Maria is putting herself in a bit of a dangerous situation. She almost got herself blown up the other week, and who knows what's going to happen next. And Maria and Alya are going, no, we're strong, we're women, we're heroes, yeah, we can do anything, we're not letting you tell us what to do, and we're not letting these terrorists make us scared, so we're going to do a drop-in centre whether you like that or not. And then Griff's behind bars anyway, so it's fine. So there was also a scene later, and I didn't write much about this. It was the one with Max and David at home, and David sort of saying to Max, "Oh, did you like Griff because he's an alpha male or something?" And Max says, "Oh well, at least they stood up for what they believed in." So that's kind of just a little bit of scene there to remind us that Max is still holding on to some of the rhetoric that Griff spread.
Rhetoric?
Is that
Rhetoric.
Rhetoric, sorry, I was wrong.
Sorry?
So, anyway, I was a bit dull on Monday. Wednesday got better, eventually. So it all starts off with the plans for the meeting, and Darian's there handing out flyers and everything, and I thought, oh, there's going to be another boring meeting. I literally, going into this episode, I had not an inkling of what this was going to turn out to be, so I was very excited when it picked up. So he's going off giving his flyers saying come to the drop-in meeting, and Max, why don't you get, and Max goes off on one or something, but Gary, meanwhile, is still worried that Maria might have a target on her back at the meeting, and he wants to go there as some kind of bodyguard.
He's like, she is really annoying. I'm worried for her safety.
Yeah, I mean, he's done his bodyguarding in the past, hasn't he, back in Ukraine.
It's a good job there weren't any Ukrainian refugees there, because that would have been awkward to explain, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So she's like, no, I don't need you. I'm fine, Gary. I'm not. Nobody who would do anything to me, Maria. So then we see David scrubbing a bit of graffiti, which I wrote down because I thought that would turn into something, but it's not. And
I don't know what the graffiti was of, but if he thinks
so someone's a tool, it said.
If he thinks that's mad, he should have seen what it would have looked like if the van had exploded there.
Yeah, it
would have been a bit singed.
So Maria and Gary walk past, and he tells them about Max storming off earlier, and Gary makes it very, very clear that he's still suspicious of Max, and he's no way willing to forgive him or think, yeah, he was probably groomed and anything. So
this whole week was really fascinating with all the plats going, look, I know he's made all these videos and stuff, but he's not a bad boy, really.
Good heart, isn't he? Yeah. So Maria finds David having a bit of a mope in the pub later, and she says, look, bring Max to this refugee drop-in afternoon. That's where all the cool kids are hanging, I'll tell you, David. And also, hearing them speak and, meeting new people might change his mind on them, maybe.
She's not wrong here, because people are scared of what they don't know or understand. And it's so easy to demonise a whole group of people and say, oh, that's their fault, and, they do this and they do that. But if you actually meet them and you realise that they're just normal people like you.
Yeah.
Mind you, he knows Darian, and he still doesn't give him a break,
no,
does he?
I don't think that Max is quite in the mood. You can't just, take a racist to a place where a bunch of refugees or whatever are and hope that they'll make friends with them. But
you can try.
Anyway, David's like, I don't know whether he's going to be up for that, actually. And then Gary and Maria have a little more of a chat, and Gary says Max is a lost cause, don't bother wasting your breath on him. And then they have another argument about him being a bodyguard again. So Gary, what was the point of this? Somebody pulls up outside a speed dial, don't they, in a van, and Gary says, oh, you can't park here, we've got deliveries coming all afternoon. Was he trying to dissuade people from going or something?
No.
What was all that about?
I don't know, but it was just, I don't know if it was supposed to go, I wonder if that's it was a red herring.
It was
like a waste of a scene.
Anyway, inside you got Alya, you got Yasmin, you got Darian, you got all of that lot. Dee Dee's there as well. They're all getting all the organisation finished for this drop-in centre.
This drop-in centre was super, super well organised and really important and great fun for everybody, because they had a great big panel that said this is the drop-in centre, and a great big panel that says Barlow's legal services. We don't know anything about refugees, but we'll tell you how to use Google to find lawyers, I presume.
Yeah.
Then they had free samosas and tea and coffee.
And they had a sign outside saying it was starting at 17:30 p.m. They wanted to.
Very organised.
Yeah. So anyway, meanwhile, we cut back to number 8, and Max is there watching a video.
Live stream.
He is. It's Blake. And he's, again, stepped up a gear quite a bit, and he's live streaming something, and he's like, it seems like he's spouting the same kind of racist lines that Max had been. So he's like, either had a very quick convert, like a road to Damascus moment, but the opposite way around, or he's been this way all along, and we just haven't really realised. But
no,
anyway,
well, this is just him being inspired the same way.
Yeah,
Max
but
was.
he's gone up to 11 straight away, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And Max is engrossed by this, and he's like, it looks like something's going on, and I was like, is something gonna happen?
Max is watching this because he's
know.
proud of the impact and influence that he's had. And
did you think? I just wondered whether he was just interested. I didn't know whether he was thinking,
well, he's probably thinking,
I made him do this, or whether I
think he's thinking, this guy was bullying me and now he looks up to me. I'm pleased, and he's got all my talking points that I came up with. He knows all the things to say. In a minute, I'm sure he's going to bring up crayfish. Can't wait for that.
I don't know. I think he was just looking out of morbid curiosity about what's this guy going to do.
Do you think that he had no idea what Blake was building up to?
I don't think so, because as soon as he finds out, he does his leg-it routine down the street, doesn't he? But anyway, he's trying to. He's watching this video.
I agree that he didn't know he was going to be violent, but I think he was watching it going, brilliant, he's going to cause some trouble down at the refugee centre and tell them all what's what. I can't wait to see him confront them.
Anyway, David ends up taking his phone off of him because he wants to sort Doggy David out in the
Doggy
garden.
Who?
Yeah, I mean, they've recast Doggy David, haven't they?
Yeah,
with a different breed of dog.
Different type of dog.
Like, they're really. I don't know dog breeds, but yes, it's little and brown. And a bit long-haired.
Hairy,
but his face is different. It's not the same
isn't
sort of dog.
A schnauzer.
Yeah.
Instead of a Yorkie.
I mean, I get it when they recast cast members and they think, it doesn't matter if they don't look exactly like them. What's important is we got the right actor for the cast and everything. No, that doesn't for the character, but that doesn't apply to animals. You can literally get an animal that looks pretty much identical.
Well, that's why, I don't know if it's obvious to people, but that's why they use pedigree animals. They don't use them because everybody is a snob and they only like, Alsatians or whatever. They use them because dog breeds look very similar because of the standards that are created by the kennel clubs.
Yeah.
That's why they don't really have mongrels.
Anyway,
you can't get stunt versions that look the same as the other dog.
No, I'm sure that they would have tried to get something looking like the original Doggy David, but it's been a long time since he's been on the show.
I think what's happened is that they've just hired somebody for the casting who's got face blindness. And everyone's too afraid to mention it. And they keep thinking, look, I've cast the perfect person. He's exactly the same. This summer looks exactly the same as the old summer. And everyone's like, brilliant job. Well done. Thank you for your help.
Anyway, so Max has to go and help David with Doggy David in the garden.
Because he's messing up all the wood chips.
Yeah. And then we cut to Blake, and he's there outside. He's going down Villain's Alley, isn't he? And he's like saying, this is going to be special. So can I just say,
I don't want to victim blame here, but if Speed Dial didn't want to attract all this attention, they shouldn't have had their business directly opposite Villain's Alley.
That's a very good point,
just
actually.
That's
probably how they got it so cheap. next to the haunted snooker hall and the dodgy Villain's Alley.
And opposite the morgue.
Yeah.
Whatever it is now. What's it called?
Well, it wasn't a morgue back then,
funeral
at least,
parlour.
was it? It wasn't a funeral
No,
parlour.
I know.
Anyway, so he strolls up to Speed Dial and he's acting all polite and interested and like, a refugee shopping centre? Yes, please. Can I come in and do some do-goodery just like the rest of you? And he's still filming all of this.
It's not apparent to me what the attraction is for people that aren't refugees here.
I didn't really understand what it was supposed to be.
Free food, but they didn't advertise that.
No, they might have done.
But if I was Maria, I'd be like, what do you want?
They're just raising awareness of refugees issues.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
I'm obviously just antisocial. I've got no idea why anybody would want to stand in a room with people they don't know for any length of time.
Well, the crowds were really into it.
They were loving
just skipping ahead a little bit.
Nodding.
Did you see what a bunch of nodders they were? When Maria was doing her speech, those people, the back down actors, they were just told, they're given one stage direction, just keep on nodding. You are in agreement with everything Maria was saying, just nod away.
Yes.
Like the Churchill dog.
Nodding.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Maria. Maria just wants the validation.
And then maybe look a bit scared when Blake pulls the knife later. I don't know.
Blake pulls the knife out and then the woman's like, yes, brilliant,
yes.
fantastic. I can't wait to see what happens next. Oh, this is the best drop-in centre I've ever been to.
If Blake pulls out and he goes, you call that a knife? This is a knife. And the woman's like, yes, it is.
Well done.
Excellent. Nice knife. Anyway, so he's still filming and he's talking on the camera very quietly because he's in speed dial now about, oh yeah, I'm going to be on the news tomorrow for what I'm going to do. Stay tuned. And I was thinking, what's going to happen here? I think this is amazing. I was loving this. They had the tension really just right for this. Much better than they did for the bomb, I'm going to say, which, as we all remember, turned out to be a massive farce. This was, like, done pretty well.
Yeah.
So Max, meanwhile, is begging for his phone back just for a bit. And David says, oh, fine, but you can have it back if you go to the drop-in meeting. Go on, off you go. So...
he doesn't go yet.
No, he doesn't go. So Alya...
this was cringe.
She invites the brains of the event to come and talk. And that's the first time and only time that Maria's ever been called the brains of anything.
I just don't... I thought it was... Yeah, it was a bit unfortunate because I wouldn't say that you needed brains to go, let's put some flyers out.
Well, I haven't seen any scarecrows organising refugee drop-in centres, Gemma, I'll tell you that. But anyway, so everyone's like, yeah, it's Maria, whoa, Maria, whoa, whoa, whoa. Nod. Oh, yeah.
Nod,
the head banging to Maria. And she does her speech about this dangerous world that they live in where we're all scared.
Nod.
And Blake's like, yeah, you should be angry, not scared. And Maria's carrying on, saying, blah, 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 rhubarb. And Blake says, oh, these people are a joke. And then Dee Dee's phone goes off just for a laugh because don't forget, she's a hotshot lawyer, but she's also a bit of a ditz. And
Nod.
And then she carries on her speech, does Maria, and then it tells everybody.
Well, she goes, hang on, look everybody, this is Dee Dee. She might be a stupid idiot, but she's also a lawyer.
Yeah.
What? And then Dee Dee goes,
you might need lawyers.
Dee Dee goes, yeah, I'm a lawyer and I don't know anything about refugees, but I do know how to find lawyers for refugees. And I was thinking, bring the lawyer who's the refugee lawyer here. Then we don't need you, Dee Dee, to tell us that your phone's on because we can hear it.
Anyway,
nod.
Blake pulls out a knife. He's got it secreted in his trouser pocket, I think it was. And I was like, oh, exciting stuff.
It looked like the sort of knife his nan uses to peel the potatoes.
Max finally gets his phone back later and resumes this video.
Oh no!
And then he sees a knife and he does a big old run, doesn't he? A big old one-take tracking shot run all the way from number 8 Coronation Street to speed dial. His arms are flapping as he's pounding down
Ronnie
the car.
Bailey, who then decides to chase him.
Yeah.
And then give up.
He's like, oh, there's some drama going on. Is there a storyline going on down there, Max? Right, I'm dropping everything. I'm getting involved in this. I've not had one of them for years.
And the director's like, you're not in it. Go back, Ronnie.
Oh, please, have a story. Come on, give me a story.
My niece is in there.
Yeah. Anyway. Matt, I love that shot. That was really, really well done, absolutely. And so cool stuff. And then he gets to speed dial, goes downstairs, looking majorly panicked. And I did get slight flashbacks to the market scene a few weeks ago where he's running to the market. Oh, there's danger! Watch out! Oh
no, he hadn't learned anything.
Just be specific.
Clearly articulate the issue at hand. And then
just
people will
Blake's got a knife.
Just say, we need to evacuate immediately.
Yeah, but he can't. But, I mean, to be fair, he has a go. Gary spots him and says, you're not welcome here, and then kind of roughs him up a little bit so he can't go in. But then finally, it's showtime for Blake. He targets himself at Maria, gets out his knife, strides on towards her, and then Darian's like, oh, he's got a blade. And then he's like, watch out, everybody, he's got a knife. And then there's a whole bit of a... He does, yes. Correct. Mm-hmm. A bit of a fracas, and then Alya heroically jumps into the path of Blake and the knife, takes the blade into her side, and then Blake is apprehended by Gary.
Well, no, but this was a really interesting scene because we didn't cut immediately away. We saw the aftermath here with Blake's on the floor. Gary and Darian are both hanging on to him for dear life, trying to wrestle this knife off of him, while Alya's being a drama queen in the corner. Oh, I'm dying of blood loss.
She's got blood spurting out.
She looks quite ill, didn't she?
Darian had a bit of a cut hand as well because he was in the way and everything. It was very exciting stuff, and I was thinking, oh, are they going to kill Alya off? No. But then I thought, oh, she escaped death the first time, and if it's third time lucky. Is that for us? Because we want to get rid of Alya.
I don't know what happened to the strapping lad who was working as a chef in the kitchen. He was carefully polishing a chili at one point. But he made himself pretty scarce.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? Anyway, Alya's been stabbed. She's bleeding out on speed dial floor. And they're
going to get a really low hygiene rating.
Yasmin runs out the kitchen, and Yasmin... Yeah, she never does anything lightly, does Yasmin?
Well,
so she's like, oh my God, my dear Alya.
Justified.
Well, yeah, I guess so.
I want to just say one criticism, and this is a bit mean, but I didn't like the way that nobody had their head in the right place apart from Gary here. I know that in real life everyone would panic, but this is a TV show, and I was so unsatisfied with how everybody lost their minds. Yeah,
everybody just legs it, don't they?
Well, Didi's supposed to be a sensible lawyer, but she just runs out with everybody else. She doesn't. You've written she shepherds them to safety. She doesn't.
She does. She does this way.
They all just run outside. Nobody's in charge of anything, which I know would happen in real life. But like I said, I want to see heroes. I've said this before.
You had Alya being a hero.
No, Alya just made everything worse. You don't know what would have happened if she hadn't jumped in the way. You might have just been knocked over by Gary. But listen, and then you've got Yasmin, who's just hugging Alya, letting her die in her arms because she's been stabbed. Take her jacket off. And wrap it up. What are you doing?
You're not all first aid trained, Gemma.
I'm not first aid trained, but I wouldn't. Well, unless I wanted her to die. Yeah, that's right, Alya. You just lie there. You'll be fine. Don't worry.
No, I thought it was fine.
I wanted somebody to be a bit sensible. I understand that in real life it wouldn't happen. I just found it really unsatisfying how everybody panicked, and I thought it was a way to make it seem more dramatic than it was. It didn't need that. I like people to be... I really, really like to see my everyday heroes stepping up, and nobody really did apart from Gary, and I thought that was a big shame.
What, if Abby had been at the drop-in centre, she'd have sorted things out, wouldn't she? But
Can you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see it, but
it's
it didn't bother me.
Okay.
Yeah, the main thing that kind of had my eye rolling there was the fact that it was Alya yet again, and I'm thinking, Coronation Street really want us to think Alya is a hero and not just a bit of a boring character.
I know, but
she still is a bit boring.
Alya.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't even do the dramatic Audrey jumping in the way of the gun slow motion, no sort of jump, did she? She just kind of shoved herself in the way. But anyway,
Max is looking shell shocked.
Yeah.
Everyone's outside now, apart from Alya, Yasmin, Blake, Darian and Gary, who are all still inside.
Yeah.
And Didi's trying to get everyone away.
Alya, Sarah Khan plays Alya. Very good. I thought she was doing a good job. I've not seen anybody be stabbed. I hope that I never will. But, she had a very pale face. She was doing short of breath.
She's hyperventilating.
Yeah, she had a lung punctured or something like that. So I thought that she was doing a fab job. And then Darian's also not looking too great there. I mean,
he's clinging on to Blake's feet, panicking.
Whilst having a stabbed hand.
I can't remember if they said where he came, what country he's come from.
No, they haven't said. They said he's Kurdish.
You presume that he's fled from a war zone, or some kind of strife or something, and he comes to England, and then he's watching people get stabbed in front of his eyes.
If you will come to Weatherfield, though.
Imagine how awful he would feel, and then he probably would also feel guilty now to think, oh, this is because of me. I brought this with me. Am I cursed? Have I got some kind of curse on me where everywhere I go, everybody dies?
I think that I don't know what's going on with Darian, because when he came into it, and this is probably going back, 3, 4, 5 months now, it was like, oh, here's a character that's only going to be in it for an episode, and now I'm thinking, is he a regular? I don't really know. Is he going to stay for a bit? I'm not sure, because I do like him, but I'm thinking, how much do I need to invest in this character? Because I like to, but he feels like he's a bit expendable.
I just want to say again, another thing as well, about this is that this would have been way more impactful, exciting and concerning if Alya hadn't already just got blown up by a bomb about 2 weeks ago. Forget that bomb, to just cut that whole thing out. I don't understand why that was in there.
Well,
it was so anticlimactic, and now she's been stabbed. It just goes to show you that you just can't keep a role. You can't keep big stakes drama so regularly.
This is the problem with soap, isn't it? It's like you've got to have this regular hit of high drama.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
though?
yeah,
do you think
do.
that it would have been more impactful if Alya hadn't just survived a bombing?
Yeah, absolutely. Because when she did it, I was like, oh, here we go again. I'm sure she'll be fine again.
But I think that the thing about this is that, you know, when she was in hospital later on, she's kind of panicking, and I think it's going to have a big psychological impact on her that this has happened twice. But I just don't think it needed to happen twice for you to. I think if someone tried to stab me, it would affect me psychologically. I don't think I'd need to follow it up with a bomb.
Yeah, she was pretty shaken by the end of it,
was.
wasn't she? I just thought it was quite funny that Blake's attempt at, you know, Maria's life was so much more successful than Griff's. Griff, a grown man, somebody who's been far right extremist for quite a long time, had a bomb.
Yep.
Didn't really cause very much damage.
Yep.
Didn't even blow the windscreen off the car. And then Blake, newly recruited, just got a knife.
Yep.
He manages to get two people, puncture a
brilliant.
lung.
Yep.
Much, you know, he's gonna.
I'd give him the award for the best racist.
Yeah, Griff's behind bars now, isn't he? So I suppose Blake will be too, but
yeah, Blake's probably in a lot of trouble now.
Yeah, well, you know what they say: the blade is mightier than the bomb, and adage was proved true in this week's Coronation Street. So anyway. Ambulance and the police have arrived later. Blake's put into the car, and this is when he looks at Max, and he's just like hero worshipping, isn't he? He's like, oh, you're my inspiration, Max. And
Max is like, shut up, you're going to get me in trouble.
Yeah, so he kind of runs back home. David's like, what have you done now? There was a little scene with Dee Dee all shaken up in the pub later with Ronnie, so he does get to be involved in this storyline a little bit. And
we just need to give a shout out to Dee Dee's magnificent hair this week.
Yes, it looked fabaroony. I loved it.
It was brilliant.
Very cool hair. I hope she keeps it. Yasmin and Maria at the end of the episode are at the hospital. Darian's gonna be okay because literally just got his hand stabbed
hurt his hand a bit.
No word on Alya, and here comes the nurse or the doctor. I don't know who it was. I never know who these. I need to learn what the colour tops are, what they stand for. But anyway, Alya's heading off to surgery. She's got a punctured lung. Who knows how she will do? It's the classic.
You don't need two lungs.
Classic end of the episode, hospital cliffhanger. Yasmin's like, why does this keep happening to us?
It's so can I just say how awful? I know I'm an awful human being. I know. I just think it's so funny that like we're discussing we've only discussed two stories so far. The first one, I was like, Carl is so mean, hurting Stephen's feelings by putting him down. And then Ollie gets stabbed trying to save someone else's life. I'm like, you don't need both your lungs. Don't know what she's moaning about.
Yeah, get back to work. Get me a mango lassie. So Thursday, Alya wakes up.
She works with Dee Dee now.
Oh yeah, she does, doesn't she? Thursday, she's waking up in hospital with Yasmin. Maria pops in to say hello as well. She's okay, thank goodness.
We knew that she would be fine.
Yeah. But
this is what you need. We need some more higher stakes.
We need high stakes. We do.
Darian should have died twice by now.
They couldn't really have killed Alya quite so soon after Teddy died. But
bring in Darian's brother for a beautiful, touching reunion that then gets ruined by one of them dying.
Yeah. So Max is kind of
freaking out.
He's freaking out. He's ready to do a flit. Because he realises that, Blake's said he's his inspiration. It's only a matter of time before the police come round, and he wants to start fessing up to what he's been doing with all this AV stuff, so there's videos. So he gets David, Sarah Louise and Adam all around the laptop and starts showing them the video. And he's got a whole folder full of them, and Adam's like, this could be seen as inciting hatred, Max.
Delete them.
Yeah, especially with what Blake said. And if you're found guilty of inciting terrorism, you could get up to 10 years in prison.
Where were you, Adam?
Thanks, Adam, for that.
Why didn't you say this earlier?
Yeah, just to put the frighteners up him a little bit more. So over at the lawyer's office later, Dee Dee listens Dee Dee's kind of...
No, Dee Dee's really annoyed.
She's
about
hiding
this.
in the kitchen
She's
bit,
not
isn't
hiding. She's in the kitchen minding her own
Well,
business.
Sarah's there talking to Adam about Max, and Sarah's saying, "Oh, Max deserves to be listened to and treated fairly. It's not his fault that this has happened to him." And Adam's saying, you know.
No. What's happening is the Platts are trying to get help for Max because they can't change what's happened, but they can protect Max from the consequences. And Dee Dee's overhearing this, and she is disgusted that Adam and Sarah are talking about him like he is also a victim. Yeah?
Yeah, basically, yeah. So Stu finds Darian in the cafe later and gives him a swish pair of trainers to say,
he's trying to
thank
eat
you very much
beans
for being lovely and well done
with
and stuff.
Bandages on his hands. Why are you eating beans on toast for breakfast?
What? Beans is a breakfast food.
Not beans on toast.
Oh well.
Well, let's have a discussion about it. Everyone write in and tell me. I just think beans with something is breakfast. Beans on toast is lunch or dinner.
So Maria, meanwhile, is feeling very guilty about what happened. She's been a bit of a victim herself. Over at the hospital, Alya is still very weak. She's knocking her lunch all over the place. And then,
the sandwich fell on the floor. I'm just being re-victimised again.
Can you? Oh, sorry, this little sandwich. Can you
Consequences
and get
are
me
never ending.
Go and get me a burger, please. She tells Yasmin, "Look, I'm terrified about what would have happened to me if Gary and Darian hadn't been there." And Yasmin says, "Look, it's fine. Don't worry.
Maybe don't jump in the way of a knife."
Yeah. And then Darian and Stu come visiting. So yeah, Alya is starting to she's confronted her own mortality and she's freaking out a little bit, yeah.
And I wish I felt more sympathetic. I really don't know what's wrong with me.
Gail, meanwhile, has been watching Max's videos. And
Gail's watched all the videos and she's like, Blake was right.
Yeah, just imagine. To tell you what, it's a good job that we've got sensible Gail this week, because buffoon Gail would have been totally taken in by this. But yeah, she looked thoroughly harrowed.
This reminded me.
I was very impressed by this Gail.
She did a really good performance.
She's not been a dit. She's not been a buffoon, like, at all this year, I'm going to say.
This reminds me, that scenario I said about watching the video and becoming a racist reminds me of that Monty Python sketch where they had the funniest joke in the world, where if you read it, you laugh yourself to death, and all the police were going in and they couldn't help but read it, and everybody was just dying. And it's kind of like the potato thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was like this, was it?
Well, it's like, they're so persuasive that anybody who watches them...
It's like the Ring video.
Yeah, once you're in 7 days, you'll stab somebody.
You got to convert somebody else to being a racist within 7 days. Yeah. Anyway, so Gail is there, very serious.
Will you imagine how freaked out you'd be if you realise your grandson had been making these disgusting videos.
I know, and he says, "Oh, it kind of started off when Darian took my place at school," and
it's all
Gail's
his
like,
fault.
What on earth? But then, before they can get any further into that, the police come round. And Max is arrested on suspicion of incitement to attempted murder.
That sounds fake.
It's real. Real thing.
It's incitement to attempted murder?
Yeah.
Isn't it incitement?
Like, go on. Try to murder them. Don't do it. Go on, have a try.
That?
Give it a stab.
Is it not just incitement to murder that you didn't quite manage?
I don't understand laws. Anyway.
But do you not see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm just telling you what the subtitles said because we put it on and listened to it again.
No, I didn't. You wrote it down correctly because we went back and looked at it. I'm not saying you got it wrong. I'm asking if Coronation Street, is that a real thing?
I would have thought so. Anyway, we see him being interviewed next at the police station. Like, why did you make the videos and everything? And Max starts opening up and saying, look, my life's rubbish. I've had such a terrible background. And Dave's like, hang on a minute, you've not had too bad a life with us, actually. You've been part of the family for a long time. And Max says, well, I was born in this country and nobody sticks up for people like me.
I liked the... Oh no, we're going to get to it in a minute, aren't we?
There's more. The Max stuff in the interview room was awesome. I loved that this week.
Paddy Beavers was a fantastic
he did a very, very good job. So Alya gets home later and she kind of hobbles out of the taxi. She's just been stabbed, lung punctured, but got to fill those beds with another person, so she's back home again.
The direction for this scene was, right, okay, so the bombing was a 5 out of 10, this is an 8, okay?
Yeah.
You're worse off than you were before.
Yeah. And not only...
You wait till you find out what the 10 out of 10 is going to be.
Not only is Alya heroic, but she's also very kind of forgiving and gracious, because when Sarah comes along, Alya's kind of like smiley, and Sarah says, "You okay?" And Alya says, "Oh, I've been better." And Yasmin's like, "No, I don't want you to do anything with her.
Don't talk to her.
Leave her alone." But anyway, Alya pops off inside.
Because she says, Yasmin says that, and then
because of Max.
Sarah says, Max didn't mean for this to happen, it's not his fault. And Yasmin's like,
yeah, whatever,
bitch.
This is when we had the rest of the great interview scene, and Max is saying, "Look, I never wanted anyone to get hurt. I was the one that warned them about the bomb, remember?
Yeah.
I saved lives when that happened." And they're like, "Yeah, but these videos, Max, you've made, the language in them is very militaristic." And they read out some of his quotes about, join the cause and everything. I can't remember what it was. And Max says...
no, it's this band, the Irish band, the cause. I can't spell, it's not my fault.
Max says, "I didn't tell Blake to go and stab someone. That's on him." And the detective there is not convinced. And Max says, "Look, I'm just stupid scum to you, aren't I? But I'm not scum. I'm not. I never had a handout or a leg up or extra help or anything, despite the fact I got ADHD, despite the fact that that my mum was murdered when I was 9 years old. She was stabbed to death outside my house. And when things like that happen, well, you have to learn to fend for yourself, and it gets lonely. And then someone comes along and tells you, you're not mad, you're not worthless, you're not alone." Thank you, everybody. Just send the soap awards this way.
Nod, 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 nod. No, I like this. I've been saying for a while, haven't I, that I wanted something convincing from the racist side to explain their behaviour, because nobody just does, makes these videos and stabs somebody for the really paper thin stuff that they were saying up until this point.
I mean, it's not an excuse. The police can't turn around and say, "Oh yeah, or let you off then." But I thought it was really worth doing, having Max giving this speech and sort of talking about... You
need to have his perspective, and the point of this scene is actually many people who are like Max and Max's situation feel in a similar way.
Yeah, okay? This is all what radicalisation is about.
There are lots of working class white young men, especially, who feel really ostracised and left behind by society, because and they feel exactly the same way that Max does.
Yeah, and this is very real situation. This sort of thing happens.
Yeah, and I'm not saying we're not saying we sympathise, but that's not the point, is it? You don't have to sympathise or believe somebody is saying something that's true to try to come to an understanding, because until you understand what the perspective is, you can't combat the origin of the issue. You can't just tell everybody, "Oh wow." You've got to understand it to fight it, because it's an ideology. You can't just scrape it under the carpet.
And this was Coronation Street saying, Max isn't all bad, he's not rotten to the core, he's got reasons why he was so amenable to this grooming.
And of course, and again, it's not true. Max has actually got lots of privileges that he can't see. He's got a massive family. He's got lots of people that really love him and care for him. He's got a blimmin' uncle. He's a lawyer. He had ADHD. He's got medicine and treatment for it. They found out he had ADHD and they helped him to overcome it. He's not back in school because of his behaviour, but the government has provided him with a place in the Peru. Maybe it's not ideal, but the government is still providing him with an education.
Yeah.
He's privileged, and he doesn't even realise all of his privileges. But again, if he compares himself to other people, he's gonna feel
inferior.
Yes.
And like he doesn't have as much. And that's why, like, when I see people online or wherever saying, "Oh, I could never forgive Max, what he's done is unforgivable," I don't think that's true, and I totally have sympathy for him here. He was groomed, he was taken advantage of by Griff.
You can have more than one victim in a story, and you can also have different levels, can't you? Because obviously he's not the biggest victim here.
No.
And we're not saying that either.
And if this happens to someone in real life, which it does, you don't just say,
you have to help
"You've been
them.
groomed, you're saying these awful things, there's no hope for you now." It is. You know, I suppose they were saying, "Oh, take Max along to the refugee centre," or some. And I said, "Well, that's a bit silly. You wouldn't want to." But it's just stuff like that. I think if you've got a kid that's been radicalised, you've got to show them what your idea about this community is. It isn't right, and trying to get them involved and educate them properly and show them what is right, and that's all that Max needs.
From a selfish perspective, as a society, as part of society, we have to help people like this because we don't want them running around stabbing people.
No,
you can't pretend it's not a real problem,
or just throwing them in jail where they're just gonna stew on it.
Is he gonna end up in prison with Griff now?
Yeah,
because Griff's going to be on remand in prison, and so will he. They'll both be put into a similar facility. In real life, I doubt that they would be allowed anywhere near each other because of their prior history. But I don't know, and I don't know what the situation is in. I said this before already. I don't know what the situation is in UK prisons and whether they're racially segregated. But I know that that is a big thing in America because I've watched Prison Break, so. Expert.
I don't know, but I think he can and should be rehabilitated. I think that's.
And again, I don't know. I don't know what people's thoughts are about how culpable you think that Max is for someone else's actions. It's an interesting concept, isn't it? And I know that because I saw somebody tweet and say that this is actually quite realistic because a 19-year-old man was just found guilty of inciting a shooting in America from in England.
Yeah.
And I tried to look this story up to find out more details, but I couldn't find anything about it. But I did find loads of other stories about people who have been put into prison for inciting hatred or violence with what they say or what they've done on the internet.
Yeah, or Max was, telling people, get your mallet out, hammer the cockroaches. So he was saying it, but
I think sometimes my thoughts are very complicated about this, but I think sometimes we feel as though you can say more extreme things on the internet than you can in real life. But if you think about it, if Max was standing on the street corner going, "Smash the immigrants, take this country back, we can't let them run it," that they're stealing all of our stuff, that would be unacceptable.
Yeah.
But because it's on a video, you kind of think, well, how can he be responsible for what this other guy has done?
Yeah, maybe. I suppose I'm kind of also partly coming at it as an angle. I'm still in the back of my head thinking, I've forgotten what I was thinking. Just how quick that Blake was seemingly convinced, and it's like, that just didn't feel right to me. So
it makes me.
If we'd have seen maybe more of Blake's watching Max's videos and then slowly being radicalised.
But that's kind of what happened to Max. But at the same time, I feel as though, again, it's the economic, socio-economic status of that they already have. But you could sit me down and make me watch a bunch of videos. I wouldn't go around stabbing people a week later.
You never know.
But I really am enjoying the questions and the challenges that this story is raising, and I think it's okay if you don't really know what you think. I think it's okay to let the story unfold and take you to places that are a bit uncomfortable. And I've seen on Twitter quite a lot of people find this a bit uncomfortable, and so there's quite a lot of people who are finding this a bit racist against white people, I've noticed, because apparently if you show racism from white people, it's racist against white people.
Really interesting.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think it's right to criticise Coronation Street for having this story. I think they're doing a really good job.
I think they're doing a good job. I was a bit worried.
Wary about it before.
I liked it at the start. I don't know what Spider's up to at the moment, but I hope he comes back soon.
Spider doesn't care anymore.
When they had the whole bombing stuff, it kind of went downhill a little bit, but I'm right back on it again. This is fab. I love this week. Anyway, nothing else much happens.
We have gone a bit of a sidetrack here. I want to know what everybody thinks. No matter what you think, why don't you write in and tell us?
we have this debate between Adam and Dee Dee later, don't we, at the office? So these two business friends are clearly not in agreement about what should happen to Max. So that's quite exciting. We'll see what happens.
Well, no, this was interesting because Dee Dee pointed out what I had just kind of said, which is that Max actually doesn't have any excuse for how disenfranchised he feels. He's got a really massive loving family, and what he said is not acceptable. And she challenges Adam And this was an important scene, but I was a bit annoyed with Dee Dee because the whole premise of the law is that you have to have representation. But it's personal for Dee Dee, isn't it?
Yeah.
She was there.
Yeah.
She shouldn't have been at work. She should have gone home. And Adam probably should not have done this in front of her.
Yeah.
But I don't, I think if Dee Dee thinks about it, she might realise that Adam doesn't really have a choice.
No. So Alya, that's kind of left with there, so we'll see what happens there next time. Alya is realising at home that Yasmin and Stu aren't at work, and they're saying, oh, we've closed down Speed Dial temporarily under the circumstances, and Alya is just one final act of heroism for the week, just getting one in before the credits close the week out. She says, oh, you go to the restaurant, I'll be okay, I'll be a brave soldier on the sofa, get that restaurant open.
Is this the same day? There's blood everywhere. It's a crime scene.
No, it's the next day, isn't it? This is Thursday.
Well, it's a crime scene.
They got really good cleaning.
If I was Stu and Yasmin, I'd say, you're not the only one who was there. I know you were stabbed, but I'm also a bit sad. Can I not watch it?
Yeah, Yasmin just wanted to stay and watch a film, didn't she? Anyway, at the end of the episode, Mac's taken away to be charged.
Yeah, for
incitement to attempt murder or whatever it is.
What have we, and this makes me nervous, because what have we incited? We could have incited all kinds of things. Laughing at inappropriate times, making fun of people for things that are really tragic.
Yeah.
Not being sympathetic enough.
Incited people. I hope we've incited people to do good things, like go on the Coronation Street tour.
Being sympathetic to racists.
No, hopefully not.
Well, no, but it's not this. It's a very grey situation. And I don't want anybody to think that we're sympathetic to the idea that,
Of course not. I don't think people think that.
But people do. People like to listen and get the wrong impression.
I just feel really bad for Max and I know. I mean, he was a scrote before this, wasn't he? I mean, with all the stuff with drugging Amy accidentally and I can't remember what else he did last year. But yeah, he was not a very nice piece of work. But I can just see that there is a sweet, he's
struggling to find a place and a purpose.
There's a little boy in there.
Found it because he was being supported and encouraged by older men, and he wanted to belong somewhere. And he's been told that every single thing that was gone wrong is down to this, that, and the other thing. And if you can't understand how, this is so intoxicating and easy to believe, isn't it? This is what everybody always makes fun of comparing things to Nazi Germany. This is what happened. That everybody was having a hard time and they got told it's these people's fault, and then it was so easy to convince them. Obviously not everybody, but not everybody was convinced. Not everybody would be convinced. But Max is in such a hard position. Yeah. But I wish he could see that he's got lots of things on his side.
Yeah, he really does.
He's great at making propaganda. He should go work for Hollywood.
Should we move on to the next story? Let's.
This whenever I watch this story,
which one?
This Max story, I really enjoy it, but I just know it's going to be really difficult to talk about because I don't feel like I've articulated.
No, you always do. I usually just stay quiet because I know that you always do a good job.
I know, but I feel like I can't articulate everything that I really think because I do think it's complicated. But I also think that some people might be listening to this going, it's not complicated at all because he's a racist and he got somebody stabbed. And I agree with that too.
You're right,
it's really tough. And people are listening to this who are coming from it from a position of they would be the ones on the other end of the knife.
Well, yeah, exactly.
And we're coming from this as a position of I would have gone to the thing in the first place. Oh, man.
There's a lesson to be learned somewhere in this.
Oh, wow.
Right,
maybe
Gemma,
we'll get it one day.
Let's have a slightly less controversial story. I'm really interested to see what's going to happen with Max. I really want to know. I'm now kind of excited because I wonder if he's going to meet up with Griff in prison. Maybe. I think he's going to get away with it. I don't think he's going to be sent to prison. Do you think? I don't think so. Maybe it's going to turn out that Blake was watching. The thing is, he still made the videos. And also, I looked this up, and I just want to say, it doesn't matter whether you actually did incite somebody to do anything. If you created the videos in the first place, and they, I don't know how they're going to prove this,
but they can prove that you were trying to incite violence. It doesn't matter if you did influence anybody, because there's quite a lot of cases I've seen where people have gone to prison and nobody watched the videos.
I think that the trial is just going to be a case of them saying, "Oh, Griff made you do it, did he? You were taken advantage of. We'll let you off."
I just want... I really feel like I want Alya to have a bit of righteous anger at them, because she's been very nice and forgiving and everything. And even though I didn't really agree with Dee, I totally understand where she's coming from, and I think I would be exactly the same way, and I'd feel the same way as she did.
Yeah, she's got every right.
I'd rather it was coming from Alya.
I think that Darian will forgive
What's
Max.
Darian going to do?
I think he's going to forgive him.
I think Darian should stab Max.
Right, come on, we need to move on. Next story. Look who's stalking.
Okay.
It's Justin.
This is also an issue storyline.
Yes, it is an issue storyline.
On Monday, Daisy's phone is ringing but she's freaked out because of this stalker and she doesn't want to answer it.
Yeah, it's a number she doesn't
recognise.
recognise.
This is in the Rovers. Yeah. They're all working. Jenny comes in and there's another bunch of flowers that have been delivered, and she's freaking out obviously about this because she doesn't want the attention. Do you believe that? No.
Not that kind
Not
of
that
attention.
kind. Daniel and Daisy go to the cafe later together, and she is trying to figure out who the stalker is. And he says, "Look, why don't I use my phone to phone the number? Then they won't know it's you, and I can find out who it is." But when he rings the number, he just gets the answer phone. Then we get the hospital man, who probably has a name, because it would be weird if you called a baby hospital man.
Well, this is Justin, isn't it? We now know.
He comes into the bar, because Daisy's back working, starts chatting with her. She doesn't recognise him at all. And he reintroduced himself and says, "I'm the one who had a sick mum. I'm assuming that she's fine or she's dead now."
No, they did say he's... She kind of thinks
dead?
that she puts her foot in it, but he says, "No, we're just making we're just making preparations for the funeral, but we don't need a funeral yet."
So he says, "I've been thinking about you a lot, and I know your name, and I bought you the flowers. Did you like them?" He's Justin Hospital Man, baby. Glenda is there. She's backing Daisy up, and Justin's like, why don't you love me? You should dump Daniel, go out with me." And Glenda's like, no, get out. This is not right.
Yeah, she hoiks him out
and at this moment, we discover that he's not the person who's been ringing her. So she got two stalkers. So the number, they phone it again later, and the phone rings as a woman walks in. And who is it? But the woman we've mentioned several times before. It's Christina. Daisy's mum. Ooh. Now, this was annoying because we predicted Daisy's dad would come back to the show. No, it was Daisy's mum. It was a bit of an easy...
Still the chance.
It was an easy guess because when a character's getting married, it's an easy thing for them to bring family members out of the woodwork that haven't been cast yet.
Yeah, so we still might have Mr. Midgley, who still doesn't... I don't think he's ever been given a first name on the show.
It's a sad indictment of Coronation Street that if you're getting married and you don't have your family member cast yet, they're more likely to turn up than the ones that have been cast who can't be bothered to come back.
Yeah, very true.
You know, that's not really what happened.
So who is this Christina?
So this is Christina. She's Daisy's mum. She's been living on a houseboat in Amsterdam for 10 years. And she heard about the wedding from one of the old school friends Daniel had got in touch with, Whoopsie Doodles. And Jenny walks in and, you know, there's a lot of tension here because Jenny was the one who stole Daisy's dad from Christina, according to Christina. And Jenny's telling Glenda later on about this. And... how horrible Christina was to Daisy's dad, and she also didn't bother contacting Jenny or the family until ages after Tom died, which obviously is Tom was Jenny and Daisy's dad's son, so it was nothing to do with Christina really, but she didn't offer any sympathy or seem to care, and she thinks she's a waste of space. But Daisy and Daniel take Christina back to number one. And she's like, "Yeah, let's get in. I want to help you with the wedding. And I want to be involved. I want to come." But Daisy's not impressed at all. And Daniel's like, "Well, I'm just glad that you're distracted from the stalker thing." So on Wednesday, Jenny's trying to convince Daisy to give Christina a chance and let her back into her life. And she brings out this gift box full of chocolates with a sorry card, why does everyone keep assuming that this is from somebody who
I
isn't
know.
Justin? So they're like, Jenny says, it looks like your mum's giving you these to say sorry. You should forgive her. And Daisy's not impressed at all. And she gives her the chocolates back and says, I don't want these chocolates, apology not accepted. She goes outside, Daisy does, and sees Justin, and he's like, did you like the chocolates? Oh no, it was from you. Daisy goes back in the pub and tells Jenny and her mum about Justin, and she's like, this guy's a freak. I'm really worried. He knows where I work, and he keeps sending me things, even though I've told him I'm not interested. And Christina's like, oh, who cares? It's just flowers and chocolates. What are you so worried about? And Daisy then tells Christina, I don't want to reconnect with you, and I do not want you to come to the wedding. So on Thursday, Christina's all sad. She's going to leave Weatherfield. She's getting ready to go into a taxi. And Daisy's going to work, and she doesn't want to talk to her or say goodbye properly. She just flounces off. So Christina's really sad, and she gives Daniel this box with a pendant inside, which is her mother's, that she wanted Daisy to wear at the wedding. And she's really sad that she hasn't managed to make it up with her daughter, and she guesses she'll not be invited to the wedding now. So she's just going to leave the necklace and go. Daisy's in the Rovers, being a bit tetchy at work. Daniel comes in. He's a dick here. He's like, come for a nice meal with me in the Bistro later to cheer you up. And Daisy says, yes, you should go.
I know, what a massive sneak.
And then when Daisy gets there, all nice and dressed up for a date with a boyfriend, Christina jumps out, and it was all just a ruse to get Christina and Daisy to have a lunch together. And Daniel's like, bye, I'm actually employed as a teacher, so I can't have lunch. See you later. So, Daisy's not making this easy for Christina. She's trying to get her to explain her point of view, but Daisy's like, you can't buy me. And then Christina brings the pendant out, and Daisy's like, well, maybe you can buy me a little. Actually, no, I don't want this pendant. It means nothing. And you're a bad mum. And Christina says, yes, I was. It was my own fault. I didn't want to be a mum. I couldn't handle it. But you have had a good life, haven't you? So maybe it wasn't such a bad thing. And you shouldn't have wished for something that wouldn't have worked out. I do love you. I always have. And it looks like this works on Daisy, because later on we see her back at number 1. She's wearing the necklace and she's talking to Daniel, and she says, things are getting better between me and my mum. She is going to come to the wedding, but we're not going to, try to make up for lost time or anything. When the wedding's over, she's going back to Amsterdam. And then when Daniel's like, well, that worked out great for me, goes off to make a cup of tea, Daisy looks at her phone and sees more of this charming man, which we assume is Justin, leaving loads of comments on her post. So finally, she deletes the comments and blocks him.
Yeah, it took her long enough, didn't it, to find that block button.
Yeah. Now,
is it him though? Has she got multiple stalkers?
It would be weird if there were more than one, because that would just make the story complicated.
Well, I don't know.
I just want to say, I really liked Christina saying that she was a terrible mum.
I did as well, because it was nice, because not everyone is a brilliant mum, and
you don't know.
Not everyone's maternal, and she's the fact that she's saying, I still love you, Daisy. I'm just not the best mum in the world, and
it's really sad and tragic, and what a horrible situation to be in. But at least Daisy did have a mum for a bit,
Yeah.
Jenny was her mum, and they've obviously got a really good relationship, and it must be really hard to be rejected like that by your mum. But it's also difficult if you're a woman who has a baby and you're just not, just don't connect. Yeah. It happens.
I'm sure there's been other stories like this before, with other characters who've turned up and said, yeah, I was a lousy, well, I was.
Can I just say one thing that's quite interesting?
Helicopter.
I was a helicopter.
Not a helicopter, I can't.
Sorry, I was a helicopter.
That's not the right word at all.
One thing,
Long distance, mum. I don't know what I'm saying.
It's really, I feel it's progressive to acknowledge the fact that women sometimes don't want to be mums and end up being mums. But can I just say, we've never, to my knowledge, I can't remember, had a time where a man's come and gone, yeah, I'm a really terrible dad and I abandoned you.
Well, wasn't Damon a bit like that?
Yeah, but we're not so, but there's no cultural expectation for a guy to be a good dad, though, is there?
I don't know.
Nobody was going, wow, good for you, Damon, you're finally admitting it.
No, I don't know. Yeah, I guess you're right.
I guess they have, I know Tim was like that as well, but Tim was like, oh, her mum wouldn't let me see her, blah blah.
Yeah, it's a bit different. Yeah, I just thought it was very refreshing that they didn't want to make her a super mum, and at the end of the meal, it wasn't Christina saying, you know what, I'm going to make up for all this lost time and I'm going to be the best mum that I ever can be, and then that's the story. It just ended up kind of being, I wasn't the best mum, I still love you. When it was a really sweet scene, and when they took each other's hand at the dinner table and everything, it was just lovely and sweet, really. And then maybe they will develop the relationship more. I'm hoping to see a lot more of her because she's awesome. I think they've really cast. I can't remember what the actress is called now, but
really cast an actress.
She's great. I've never seen her in anything before, but she was utterly believable in the role.
Great, and I loved her sparking off Jenny. They hate each other. It's great.
Yeah, she was very kind of formidable. She's tough. She just strikes me as a proper, in the mould of a proper Corrie strong matriarch already. Absolutely can. So when it looked like she was going off again at the beginning of Thursday's episode, I was a little bit disappointed. But we'll see her again. I'm kind of hoping for more fireworks between her and Jenny, although it looked like Jenny was ready to let bygones be bygones already by Wednesday's episode.
She's won the competition. She doesn't care what Christina thinks.
I wonder whether there's going to be any kind of competition between who's going to be the official mum at the wedding or something.
Oh yeah, mother of the bride.
Yeah, who's going to be the mother of the bride?
There will be arguments. I can't wait for that.
I think it should be fun. I'm loving it.
One thing is interesting, and you don't need a reason to post on social media, but it makes me wonder whether some of the motivation that Daisy has, this craving for approval, is based on feeling abandoned as a child by her mum.
Yeah, we learnt a little bit more about her backstory with Tom and everything last week or whenever it was, didn't we? And all the people, everyone was loving her, but then she said it was just because they wanted a friend who had a dead brother and everything, and then she got used to the attention there. But it's all this backstory for Daisy. There's nothing there that's making me think that doesn't add up. I think they're doing such a good job with this story, and it was nice to have something that was a little bit lower stakes than everything else. I mean, sorry, stalking is, as you said, an issue story.
Well, I found this quite interesting. That Christina and Jenny were so dismissive of this guy who's giving her attention, and this is I think this is probably a very usual, common kind of reaction. Like, why do you care? Yeah. What, you're getting free stuff off someone? Oh, big whoop, what a terrible thing to happen. And dismissing her concerns. But actually it is incredibly sinister and strange. And he's been told to leave her alone, and he won't.
Yeah. I wonder, and I don't think this will happen, but whether Maria could get involved with this as well, because she had that online stalker, didn't she, like a year or so ago.
It wasn't a nice stalker though.
No, it wasn't a nice stalker. It was slightly different. But...
I mean, obviously, Justin's not going to be a nice stalker, and somebody giving you unwanted attention is not nice. But it's definitely a bit nicer to get chocolates than it is to get somebody calling you.
Yeah, I was good for something or other online, exactly. Anyway, keep up the good work with that on Coronation Street.
Are we all agreed that Justin is going to turn out to be an absolute psychopath who
he's looking like he's on his way there for sure.
From sending you sorry chocolates to, like, here's your mum's head in a box.
He's obviously not going to say something like that, yeah. You've been having problems with your mum.
The props department's making a paper mache copy of her head right now.
Okay, so the Scylla Chinchilla killer story, this tickled me on Wednesday's episode. I wasn't enjoying it so much on Monday because that was more about Fiz kind of saying to Sally, oh, you know what, me and Tyrone, our sex lives are getting a bit boring and mechanical at the moment. And and I was like, is this another storyline about that? Like we had to listen to Tim and Sally going on about their sex lives all of last year, and maybe I'm just a massive prude about it and everything, but I don't need that again with Fiz and Tyrone.
Well, it's not that I am a prude, but I also don't care. I really don't care.
But anyway, it kind
about your sex life
gets a little bit more comedic, I suppose, because Sally starts opening up and saying, look, maybe you should try a little bit of sexy role play in the bedroom. and Fiz, totally true to character, I would say, the way that Fiz is now, finds this very uncomfortable. I mean, 20 years ago, Fiz, she'd have been well up for this.
Don't talk. Yeah, she would have actually. You're correct.
She has definitely got a lot more
Reserved.
Yeah, reserved exactly.
There's nothing
in
wrong
the last
with
20
that.
years. No. She'd have been swinging from the lampshades
She'd have
Fiz
been
20 years
stripping
ago.
down to her unders.
Well, this is the Fiz that did the topless protest we've just seen recently on ITV3. But yeah, she's a little bit of a character change since then. But anyway, Sally says, look, you can have a rummage in my dress-up box if you want.
No, he cleaned it.
Oh, gross. Anyway, back at home.
Is it PVC? Is it wipeable?
Probably, yeah, some of it at least.
Oh, I have put it through the washing machine.
Back at home, Fiz is asking Tyrone if he's happy with their sex life, and Tyrone's, quite naturally clamming up at this.
That's half the problem.
And she says, look, maybe we could spice things up with a role play. And I loved it that Tyrone's immediate response to that is, even speaking to Sally Metcalf, who has clearly got a reputation around these parts as being, having a bit of a
very
creative...
uninhibited.
Yeah.
Tyrone should have gone, what, lucky burglar?
Yeah, lucky burglar, exactly. Anyway, Evelyn comes in and they quickly kind of pull apart because they weren't talking about that near Gran. So later on, Fiz goes out for a bath and Evelyn tries to poke her nose into what she worked in on earlier, and she tells Tyrone, you look like you're in a bit of a serious conversation there. You better not be...
thinking.
You better not be thinking about leaving for
Get your
another...
end away.
She says, whatever you do not seek solace in the arms of another Romanian because you're very, very lucky.
Racist. Typical. Have you been watching Max's videos?
So this then leads into Wednesday's episode where we start off the episode by being told that Fiz is off to go and see human Scylla, the chinchilla.
The chinchilla.
Human Scylla, the human. I thought this week was when they got the chinchilla. I completely forgot that they got the chinchilla last week.
The chinchilla's already there.
The chinchilla is there.
This was a
She's
fake
off
out.
to see human Scylla.
Because I said to you, oh, here we go. She's off for her maternity leave.
Yeah, you did, didn't you? But no, she's
it's
not
a
going
fake out.
anyway. Yeah,
Tricked
and
me.
she didn't need a maternity leave yet.
Well, she goes off and Tyrone's just ignoring her.
I thought that this was going to be a proper cliche, like, somebody's going to come and get Tyrone chatted up, and then Even's going to get the wrong end of the stick, which did happen. But what ended up it turned into was just great. Anyway, the chinchilla lady who they bought Scylla from comes to get her car sorted at the garage.
Can I just say, I've uncovered a lie here, because Tyrone said he got the chinchilla from a pet shop.
I thought he did as well.
And now he's got a chinchilla broker. I don't trust him.
Anyway, Evelyn is spying on him, and then when the woman's gone, she strides up to Tyrone and accuses him of flirting with her, and he's like, no, don't be stupid, he was just talking about chinchilla stuff, I don't know. And so she goes and tells Roy that Tyrone's at it again, and I don't blame her for being suspicious.
He's a dog. I agree with her. Keep an eye on him.
Yeah, he does. He needs a proper keep an eye on.
He's got a wandering Dick Havisham.
And then they see him all dressed up. He's got this swish suit on, getting into a car that I'm thinking...
I think he's borrowed from somebody that doesn't know they've lent it to him.
Yeah, it did look that way, didn't it? And he's telling someone on the phone, I'll be at the hotel in a minute. And
Somehow they heard that.
Somehow I didn't predict what was going to happen here. I was just happily thinking, la la la, Fiz has come to Birmingham or Wolverhampton or wherever it is to go and see Scylla. And I was like,
I didn't see this coming at all. You've worked this out way before I did.
Did I?
Yes.
I hadn't worked it out at this point, though. So Evelyn and Roy are having a stakeout at the Chariot Square bar later. When Tyrone says, see you at the hotel, Evelyn's like, well, there's only one of those in the whole of Weatherfield.
Weatherfield.
Yeah, Tyrone's there drinking a cocktail and Evelyn kind of smelling a rat. There's something not quite right here. And then this blonde comes in and sits next to him. He puts his hand on her knee.
Oh no, he's having an affair.
And it was at this moment I was like, oh, it's Fiz, of course, because I'd forgotten about all the roleplay talk on Monday's episode when I was watching this, and this is just brilliant. Evelyn comes up to them and she's like, right, what you been doing? Oh, it's Fiz in this big old blonde wig playing a character called Penelope or something, and they had their sexy roles all sorted out.
Oh yeah, I wish I could
Penelope
remember
and
what
Lance.
their jobs were.
Yeah, I don't remember, but it was so good.
They were kind of really boring, weren't they?
Yeah, but
weren't they? I can't remember.
I think so. I thought,
yes,
if I was in charge of Coronation Street, and I will be one of these days, don't worry, it's happening, I would have made this the return of Carol Monroe and Vincent Clare. If they're the new Jack and Vera, they could have said, oh, we don't need to go in Sally's dressing up box. We've just gone up to the attic and we found
that
this
not a bit
ginger perm and a big, whatever it was, red slinky dress that Vera. Come on, it's 40 years ago this year that the classic Vince and Claire Carol Monroe incident took place, and that would have been so funny. And they're always saying, well, not Coronation, people are saying Jack and Fiz and Tyrone are the new Jack and Vera, and I think that would have been a really, really lovely tribute to one of Coronation Street's best scenes. And we know that Alan Halsall can do a brilliant Jack Duckworth impression, can't he? I don't know how it would have, maybe he wouldn't have known who Vince and Claire was or used the word. No, but they could have concocted a way for him to have done that, and I would have absolutely loved that. But alas, maybe there's still more to come for this storyline. I don't know. But anyway, Roy throughout the whole of this, understandably, is looking like, I just want to get out of here. What the heck are you doing dressed up like this? This is so far out of his comfort zone. But he doesn't believe it. So Evelyn says, no, I want answers about this. It was that blonde at the garage earlier. And he's like, it was just the chinchilla lady. It's fine. So they eventually are satisfied, Evelyn and Roy. And they go back to the cafe, and what a palaver that was and everything. And Evelyn's like, I can't really see why anyone would have the need for that kind of stuff. And then she's like, although, every now and then I can't help feeling that I missed out in some way. And Roy's looking uncomfortable again, and Evelyn's like, just makes you think, that's all. So I thought that was great stuff. It was so good. Meanwhile, Fiz and Tyrone are agreeing that roleplay maybe isn't for them, but, might as well make good use of that hotel room upstairs. So, it all kicks off on Thursday, with Fiz and Tyrone all loved up in the morning, until, of course, the girls come down with a shopping list of things that Scylla the Chinchilla needs. And she's got this load of pets looking after stuff, and they say, look, no, we're not buying that for you. You can flip and well earn this money yourself.
It's like 100 quid's worth of
stuff.
Yeah,
at least. And then later on, Fiz is saying, oh, were we too harsh with Hope? Like, no. Steve Simon says, we need to be harsher on her, if anything else. And then just very handily, Kirk comes over and says, oh, can Peanut, their dog, come and stay at number 9 while me and Beth go away, or something like that. And Fiz says, oh, well, maybe Hope might want to look after her for a fee. So that sounds like a good deal
fee.
There. For a fee, yes. So Kirk goes around to number 9 later and says, oh, Hope, I'll give you £5 to look after Peanut. And Hope wants a tenner for it, which is quite funny. He's like, deal. Hope gets Scylla out of the cage as well.
Well, he tries to introduce them to each other.
Yes, and Peanut kind of growls nervously at this chinchilla. He's never seen anything like this in his life, so no wonder.
I don't blame people for not having experience with pets, but my God, was this not obvious that this was going to happen? Everybody involved in this deserves to be eaten by a dog.
Well, Hope doesn't understand, does she?
Exactly. She's a child.
It makes sense. So anyway,
she doesn't understand, but there were many adults around.
Later on, the girls come downstairs, the cage is open and Scylla's missing, and then they have a little hunt around the lounge. They go behind the bar and Hope's like, thinks she's dead.
Poor Scylla.
So this poor Scylla, this pet who has been on the show for a week and a half, I can't remember exactly when they got her, is now copped it. And I was thinking, oh no, she won't be. But literally, there's a dead chinchilla on the table. They had it hidden behind the fruit bowl, but they said...
I could see its dead tail.
Yeah, and obviously Hope blames Peanut for this. Beth and Kurt come back over later.
I just want to say, there was the best line of the week was when Beth and Kurt get the text message when they're in the Rovers having their drink that Stephen bought them, and Beth says, we've got to go, there's been a murder.
Oh, yeah.
That was brilliant.
Beth says, look, it can't have been Peanut that did this. There's not even a mark on her. And Evelyn says, well, clearly Peanut frightens poor Scylla to death.
Oh, dear.
Beth storms out at this accusation, and Kirk says, and this was one of my favourite ones of the week, sorry guys, it's just hard when your daughter's accused of murder. Although the episode ends and there's a little funeral for Scylla in Victoria Gardens. And
gosh, she did a whole poem.
Yeah, she did.
Hope did a poem.
Yeah, love you more than my sister. I think I'm going to miss you or something. And it ends with Hope telling... She lays a carrot or something, doesn't she, on top of the grave, and she says, "You'll get your revenge," which I thought was fab. This storyline was definitely nothing that I knew was happening. So it all kind of felt fresh and interesting. All of the stuff with the role play, I didn't expect that coming. It was a load of fun. Can't say my words.
The
chinchilla death scene. Didn't expect that. I thought this is going to be a long-term Corrie pet in my eyes. It was brilliant, a chinchilla.
Anybody who's listening is a chinchilla owner who finds this.
This was tragic.
It is, but it's
so cute and fluffy. I mean, is this the shortest term pet Coronation Street has ever had? It must be, in the
up there.
I mean, I know that was when Tracy got her Sylvester the cat a few years ago. That didn't last longer than a week or two, did it? But yeah, I was sad about this. But what's this revenge going to do? Do you think Hope is going to go and try and kill Peanut or something?
Yeah.
Is she gonna feed him chocolate or something?
No.
I don't know. Or at the time I thought, she's just saying you'll have your revenge as a kind of kooky Hope thing to say. Yeah. But it feels like maybe that's where the story's going to go next.
This is going to get very twisted.
Yeah. Is she going to try and set fire to his little doggy bed or something? I don't know. I
just did a quick Google to find out if it's common for chinchillas to be scared to death. Because I know rabbits are very... you can kill a rabbit by scaring it quite easily. And I didn't find any conclusive... information.
What did you Google? Do chinchillas scare easily?
Chinchilla frightened to death, I wrote.
Oh.
But it got people also search for signs your chinchilla likes you, happy chinchilla behaviour, why does my chinchilla scream at night?
I mean, because there's a chinchilla killer on the list.
I need to look this up to find out what the screaming is about.
The main problem that I had with this storyline, and it wasn't very much to be honest, is I don't think the girls seemed particularly fussed. Hope was saying she was sad, but she didn't feel that sad in the performance. And but you can never get anything out of Ruby anyway.
She's a psychopath.
I think also it was a new pet. It wasn't like I've had this chinchilla for years. It's like a sister to me.
I think you would get quite invested in it.
I think if it's a new pet, it's something fun and cool.
You'd feel really sad. Now, my question is, why was the chinchilla lady involved in this storyline? Is there something sinister? She's selling faulty chinchillas that die in a week and a half to get the money.
Maybe.
What are they going to do? Because it was suggested that Kirk and Beth pay for a new chinchilla. They're not going to pay. Those things are expensive. They're over £100.
I know. Well,
they've got the cage and everything now. That must have cost a fortune.
I think the chinchilla lady was just there to give something for Evelyn to be suspicious of when a blonde lady comes next to her. I suspect her.
I think she's involved. If I wanted to secure my future as a chinchilla businesswoman, I would make sure that they didn't live very long.
Yeah, it makes
That's the easiest
sense,
way to sell more chinchillas, isn't it?
Yeah, great stuff. And the Gemma and Michael story, Gemma.
Okay, who would have thought that Chesney's lifelong dream was to be a burger man? On Monday, Gemma is so excited because everybody wants her to mind their children. I want to get into this gig. We've got loads of space. We could have a baby farm.
But you don't really know what to do with children, do you?
I'll find it out as I go, just like all the parents
Google it.
Yeah, Google it. Chinchilla scream at night. No, I'll clear that search. How does baby live? Anyway, Gemma's all excited about this. She thinks she's going to be rich. And Chesney's like, I'm worried you're taking too much on. Now, the real quandary of the week was, what is Dev going to do with this £10 of beef? I'm not talking about his ripped bod. No, he's found £10 of beef that's been opened at the kebab shop and it's going to go to waste. So Dev needs to know what to do with it. Chesney decides to take it off his hands and make a fancy burger with posh chips at tea time because he's always wanted to be a burger man.
He says, it's like, I can't...
It's so weird.
It was so ridiculous. I didn't write down exactly what he said, but it was basically along the lines of, I've always wanted to be
Here's my question.
A burger man.
What's he going to do with the other 9,500 grams of beef that he still has in his fridge? Because that never got explained. And when all week it should have been Gemma interviewing people for the babysitting gig going, how's your kid with raw beef? I've got £10 of it to get rid of. Anyway, on Wednesday, somebody's come round to check out the her house.
Yeah, she wants
Gemma's house to see.
she wants to. It's somebody who wants to leave their kid with Gemma, isn't it? She's called India, according to the synopsis notes.
Somebody wants her to babysit her kids, and she's just saying, "Yeah, brilliant, all looks good, great. Yeah, how's the Ofsted check?" And Michael's getting cold sweats because it's exactly.
It was a year ago today that Ofsted are in my school. Yeah.
Yeah. DBS. Have you got qualifications? And Gemma's like, "Oh. No, I don't actually."
She's like saying, "Oh well, they're in the post, they're coming," and
it's all
but the
hand.
woman is not
insurance.
convinced.
And Gemma says, "Yeah," and the woman India says, "I think I'll leave it." It's like me in a charity shop. I think I'll leave it, thank you. Later on, Dev is telling Chesney that he should pursue his dreams, and Gemma comes in saying, "Oh, I don't think I'm going to be able to be a childminder." So
I think Dev's got a career, potential career in motivational speeches, because this is a couple of times in the last month that we've seen him. Remember his "Be a Man, Chesney" speech?
Only for Chesney though.
Yeah,
he only cares about Chesney.
Can only motivate. It's because he has to live. He has to work with Chesney, and he's like, "Come on, Chesney, bloody cheer up! I have to spend 10 hours a day with you, man. Smile for heaven's sake."
Oh dear, I want a life coach. I want Dev to be my life coach.
Dev is a life coach.
I need someone to help me. Help me.
We saw Jimmy on a catchphrase last weekend, didn't we? Didn't quite manage to get as far as George Taylor did, but he was a lot of fun. Yeah,
he was brilliant. So on Thursday, Dev's oh god, I love this. Jimmy Arkishan had this pot of sauce, and he was with his tongue tasting it how a budgie does, where a budgie, their little funny tongues that they hold their beaks at and grab something, and then they go with their funny little tongues.
Not having ever owned a budgerigar, I can't
used to breed
quite
budgies
picture that.
In my family. Okay, so Dev's very impressed with this concoction that Chesney has prepared, and he says, "Oh no, I think the plans are on hold for this burger empire." Because I haven't told Gemma about it. And Dev says, "Tell her no!" Gemma, when Michael comes round, decides that is the time to tell him that she can't mind Gloria anymore. And obviously he's got no other option. And says, "Look, I'll leave her with you anyway. I don't care about the Ofsted and all that crap. I'll leave it to... you just look after her as a friend."
You seem to be a perfectly normal human being.
You're not... You haven't murdered anybody yet, have you? I'll just give you the money and we won't say any more about it. And she says, "Can I have it now, please, the money?" So she excitedly goes and tells Chesney, "Oh, I'm still being able to babysit Glory, after all." And he looks a bit down in the mouth, which is not unusual for Chesney, so I don't know why she picked up on it. What she wonders what's wrong. And he says, "I took some of the money out of the wedding fund for my burger project." And she's completely incensed about this.
Yeah, she threatens him with some burger tongues, doesn't she?
And then in the pub, Daniel's saying to Michael, "Do you know anybody who's good at babysitting?" And he suggests Gemma, and Gemma's like, "I don't have any qualifications." And he's like, "Look, I know you don't need to know anything because I'm a teacher."
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you. Why not give it to you? Everybody loves you. You've got a good head on your shoulders, Gemma. You seem like a perfectly pleasant human being.
Renowned as sensible.
Exactly. I'm sure you have many lessons that my child could learn from you.
Yeah. I think I'll give you a trial period.
Yes.
So we end the week with unregistered child-minding business flourishing in Coronation Street. Who knows what will happen? I mean, even if she was registered, she wouldn't be able to look after Bertie. She would only be able to look after Glory because she's got too many other kids.
Numbers, yeah. Something's going to go wrong, isn't it? Is this a way that Coronation Street is just going to get rid of all of the kids on the street? Is
this leading to a mass cull of boring children, then I'm all for it.
I think they just need to let Peanut on the loose.
Peanut's
scared. Is that a whiff of blood, and now it's going to go after all the children of Coronation Street?
What's happened? Alan's been frightened to death. I mean, when we were kids, back in the 1920s, nobody had qualifications for Ofsted and all that crap.
I don't, didn't they?
No, of course they didn't.
Oh, well.
Times
is different
I'm
now.
obviously going to be taught a very harsh lesson by Coronation Street, who are going to teach me about the issues of unlicensed child minding, but I don't really... Also, the other thing that I don't think Gemma's really realised is that she gets to keep all of Michael's £45 a day if she doesn't be registered. But if she is registered, she's going to have to give like a third of that to the tax man.
Very true.
And I don't agree with paying tax either. No, that's not true.
So...
What do you think's going to happen? Obviously something terrible is going to happen.
Something comedic. I don't think it's... I think it's going to be low stakes
Coronation
terrible.
Street,
she'll lose a child, one of them's going to sneak out the back or something, or... I don't know, is that... They're not going to do anything. This is clearly the distraction from the real serious stories.
Yeah, I know, but Coronation Street is going to have to do something along the lines of, oh, you can't do that. Because otherwise they'll be seen to be encouraging...
Unregistered child minding? What?
I just don't think it... I don't think it's a big deal.
That's incitement to mind children without qualifications. You can get 10 years for that.
I'm going to go to prison.
I don't know.
I just want to say one more thing about the Max storyline that I think I said earlier about I'm struggling with the idea that you're responsible for other people's actions by producing content that I'm open to it, but I'm struggling with that concept that you can be responsible for other people's actions by what you say or produce as content.
We just don't want to get in trouble if people start going after Maria and Alya and say, Michael and Gemma says you're really boring characters and Blake should have stabbed you, so...
But, as I said to you yesterday, which I just remembered, I think is quite important to add, it's a bit... I'm having a contradictory opinion here because I also do think that Max was groomed and he has come to his opinion through his influence via Griff. So I obviously do appreciate that people can influence you, but I'm just really... My head is struggling with it.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay to not always know exactly what you... I think the trouble with society now is that we're all encouraged to go, you think about what this is, have this opinion, and if you don't, you're wrong. I think it's okay to sometimes...
Yeah, I think they've made this a good, nicely debatable storyline.
It is debatable. Right, so what did you think of this week's Coronation Street? Was it banging?
Well, if we go with my street talk shorts, it started off fairly bobbins. Yeah. No, last week we did it.
Did we? For a full week?
Yeah, we did a full week last week.
Time
this
goes
week
by.
for me went bobbins on Monday, banging on Wednesday, and bog standard on Friday.
Like
so it kind of all averaged itself out. But it wasn't 3 out of 5. I mean, looking back on it, the Stephen stuff wasn't... I was just disappointed. But there was a lot to enjoy and a lot of fun stuff there as well. The Max Streamerism storyline, really, that was fab for me from about halfway through Wednesday. Daisy stuff I enjoyed. Loving, what's her face? Mum. What's her name? Christina. The Fiz and Tyrone, the sexy wig, kinky roleplay stuff. What a laugh. This is a good week. I am going to say... that this week's Coronation Street deserves 4 nights scratching your unmentionables on the sofa out of 5. What about you?
I'm gonna give it a 4. I also want to give a shout out to many actors this week, and I can't really single them out individually, but definitely Sarah Khan, who plays Alya, did a really fantastic job.
She did. She was good.
Paddy Beaver again as Max was fantastic.
Charlie Jordan,
yeah,
always good
as Daisy. I think it was a really good, well performed week, and obviously always love Todd Boyce as Stephen. I think I want to pop him in my pocket. I absolutely love him. I want him.
Is he your character of the week though?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, you just gave me the idea to say he is because I
still don't know who mine is at the moment.
I'm not
going to give it to Daisy again because she's always getting it. I might.
I'm gonna give. Have I said the score?
Yeah, 4. Oh no, 4.
I'm gonna give it 4 rosewood reversible snuggle tunnels. And can I just say how much I empathise with Hope here, because when I was a kid, I had pets. I had some Russian hamsters that I absolutely adored, and I was so into the accoutrements and accessories. I used to look at Rota Stack in the
You got to have
catalogue.
a good Rota Stack if you got a small rodent in this country.
I used to love going to the pet shop and seeing all the little cool things.
For anyone does this still exist? I don't know, but it was just these little mini cages within like.
They were like circular.
Plastic cylinders with a lid, but then you could have tubes connecting it to a different one. And this one's got a little maze in, and this one's a bit bigger.
It's like an extendable series of interchangeable
you could connect
parts.
it up however you want, and with these little tunnels of tubes and everything. It's brilliant. It was amazing.
I loved Rota Stack.
Yeah. Can't fit a chinchilla in it.
The sad thing about it was that because I had Russian hamsters, they were a bit too small because they were made for Syrian, golden hamsters, which are bigger. And so they could fit in the tubes, and my little Russian ones couldn't quite get up the tubes.
Yeah, my gerbils could never go up the tubes, but it was a bit like a space station, wasn't it?
Yes, they used to have a special big pot that you could fill up with sawdust just for gerbils.
Yeah, I had that one.
Did you?
Yeah, burrowing one.
Yeah.
That was so. They
Oh, Michael, should we
they
get
knew
a
how
hamster?
to market that.
Should we get a hamster?
No, because I need to decide my character of the week, and I still haven't decided. So you're giving it to old Alanis Morissette, are you?
Oh my goodness,
Joni Mitchell.
That was Carla's
Carla.
way of being horrible to him all week. But I mean, if somebody said to me, "Oh, you're just like Keanu Reeves," I say, "Thank you." Pray hands.
My character of the week is going to be. I'm thinking probably Max. I don't want to give it to Alya for being a hero.
Alya.
I really appreciated everybody in the Fiz and Tyrone storyline, but for being able to deliver some very serious stuff as well, I think it's going to be Max again for me this week.
Very good job, Paddy.
Yeah, good job.
I would say another really great week in Coronation Street. I feel like it's picking up, don't you?
Yeah.
And everyone's
They do need to be careful with don't keep having these massive life or death situations, because we're not even out of January or yet, and people have already had miraculous survivings of incidents where maybe they should have been killed.
I said it before about last year. The lack of consequences is going to kill the soap. You've got to really make it feel important when something happens, and just being a bit sad about it doesn't cut it. I'm afraid.
Looking forward to next week. I don't think I know anything that's happening next week. I don't think I've seen any spoilers. I don't think I've looked at any pictures.
Well, I never know.
I know nothing. But this has left me excited to find out what.